Boy, heck, everyone! Hi, it's us. I don't even know how long it has been, but it's been a really long time. Uh, Not only since I've streamed, but since you have seen these four lovely faces. So I will keep you in suspense no longer. This is the finale of the second adventure for the crew of the Iskandar, the Cutting Edge. The exciting thing about our Star Trek adventure games is that we have no fixed and firm storyteller. We instead rotate through the four members of the team, each of us playing two members of the sort of the key crew of the ship. So this current adventure, the Cutting Edge, is being GM'd by Kath, who is, if I can figure out my sizes there, is that Kath? Am I pointing at Kath right now? The rest of us, of course, are Izzy, Mike, and Emily. We're so happy to be back. It's unfortunately circumstances meant that we are having to run the finale of the Cutting Edge, some weeks after the penultimate episode of the Cutting Edge. For that, we're very sorry, but don't worry. I'm going to hand you over now to our absolutely lovely Game Master Kath, who will hopefully be telling us what's going on. I think I'm some sort of space woman. Yes. So over to you, Kath.
Hi, and welcome back. Rather than reminding Izzy what Star Trek is and who she is, I will, however, give us a recap of the entirety of the events of The Cutting Edge, because it's been so long for everyone, including us, that we're not really sure what the fuck is going on. It's really good that I can watch our past episodes so that I don't have to rely on my memory. On the other hand, that means if I just say, oh, I can't fucking remember, I'll make it up, there is a chance that someone will double check. Don't do that. So, the USS Iskandar, an Intrepid-class starship, their captain, Captain Athan, departed for a security conference, leaving Commander Talandra, the first officer, Vulcan, in charge. Now, they were supposed to only be doing a fairly routine mission in their captain's absence, a survey mission of the McPherson Nebula. En route to the nebula, they received a distress call from the USS Antares, which reported it had been attacked by Nausicans. The Antares had been boarded, raided, and approximately 20 of their crew had been abducted before the Nausicans had fled. However, also on board and also taken by the Nausicans were 4 VIPs, Starfleet officers being transported to their destination by the Antares on some sort of mysterious classified mission, and their package, some object reported to be in some sort of containment case of a large briefcase size, and that is as much as really is known about the object. The Antares' captain was a little bit coy on the details of where he was taking them and why, citing that the situation was classified. However, some cunning research by Ensign Casey managed to reveal a suspected location of a place called Prometheus Base, which is evidently some sort of clandestine base of secret Starfleet operations. Now, the Iskandar did not go looking for that secret base. They did instead track the Nausicaan raiders to a neutral patch of space just outside of, just beyond the Federation border, and indeed between Federation and Talarian space. The Nausicans had gone to this location, a large hodgepodge Frankenstein neutral den of scum and villainy, conveniently called Anchorage, favored by the Orion Syndicate and other scum. The Iskandar managed to secure at least the non-hostility and a little support from the Orion Syndicate, specifically one of their pirate captains named Jefferson Carrick, who expressed that he didn't really like slavers very much, and it was in his best interests if Starfleet did what they were doing and then fucked off back into Federation space. So, with a little bit of trade with the dock master of Anchorage, they boarded Anchorage, did a little bit of reconnaissance, found that there was a large thriving marketplace on board Anchorage, and specifically learned that they had about 8 hours until the Nausicans were planning on holding an auction to sell the abducted Starfleet officers that they had taken. The center of operations turned out to be the bar on Anchorage, where they getting some help from Jefferson Carrick, and specifically met the crew of a Cardassian Union ship, the Trador, which has been conducting its own patrol of neutral space near the Cardassian border. Specifically, their captain, Gul Elrad, expressed that now that the Federation and Cardassian Union are friends since the end of the war, he doesn't really like slavers much, and he's happy to help in any way possible. And he and Commander Talandra ended up spending time together for entirely professional reasons. During this time, Lieutenant Strange, Chief Engineer of the Iskandar, and Ensign Casey, Chief Science Officer of the Iskandar, hacked Anchorage's internal computer systems to procure an exact sensor read of where the Nausicaan little market stand was, with the hope to be able to use this to potentially get a transporter lock on all of the abducted prisoners. Requiring up to the second accuracy from these readings, Commander Talandra arranged for Jefferson Carrick and Gul Elrad to pretend to capture and sell her to the Nausicans. Infiltrating the Nausicans operation and thrown in with the rest of the Antares crew, she met up with Commander Baltros, the XO of the Antares. He informed her that he thought these 4 VIPs were dodgy as fuck, yo. Only one of them was still with the rest of the prisoners, the Lieutenant Novak. The other 3, he had no idea of their whereabouts, but he had overheard conversations between them and the Nausicans, which suggested to him that they had made some sort of deal. This matched suspicions by various individuals of the Antares that the strike on the Antares had possibly been a little bit too well executed, and maybe there'd been someone on the inside. So there's Commander Loxley and 2 of his team at large, mysteriously missing. The rescue operation went ahead. Transporter signal boosters were beamed in. The lock was ascertained on the transporters. People were beamed out as a little bit of chaos was caused in and around the marketplace. This almost went off without a hitch, except for the fact that a couple of Nausicans were also grabbed in the rescue mission and transported to a cargo bay on the Iskandar. A tense hostage situation and standoff ensued as one fast-acting Nausican managed to get a gun to someone's head. And in the end, the Nausicans were let go / kicked off the ship, but in the process shot Commander Talandra in the head. This was all part of a very smooth and well-handled and communicated operation. Poor Lieutenant Kantos assumes command of the Iskandar, and they and Lieutenant Zal of security conduct a interrogation of this Lieutenant Novak of this secret Starfleet team. Novak basically keeps stum, claims that she knows nothing, has no idea why her 3 colleagues have fucked off to parts unknown, and is of course totally innocent of whatever Loxley has done. Is obviously lying, but Kantos and Zal conclude that there isn't really much that they have to pin her on. Meanwhile, Commander Talandra undergoes surgery at the capable hands of Dr. Burov. And last we know, it's all still a bit touch and go, but Commander is recovering and will probably be fine from being just shot just nearly in the head.
I want the record to show that Kath gave me full permission if I wanted to just up and kill Talandra.
Yeah, it's a permission. Like, if you're like, I'm dead, what am I going to do about it?
No, you're not.
You're not dead.
Dead. You can't be dead.
That would just make this so bad. Kantos and Zal returns to Anchorage to try to rustle more information out of the Nausicans. Arranged a tentative exchange with some of them, where if they got information about Commander Loxley and his team, then the Nausicans might be given a medical replicator, which would give them the opportunity to get a whole lot of drugs, so that ain't good. Over the process of this, they enlisted the help of Gul Elrad once more, who agreed to go and have a conversation with the Nausicans to try to encourage them to go along with this meeting. And as Kantos and Zal waited, the Cardassian ship left its berth at Anchorage, effectively parked itself to block the Nausicans in on their berth at Anchorage, and Gul Elrad led a small raiding team aboard the Nautican ship to beat the shit out of them. He dragged their captain Yuvor out into the corridors to meet. I was going to read the wrong name for Cantos. Cantos is not Commodore McBiscuits. Lieutenant Cantos and Lieutenant Zal expressed that, yeah, he knows he did things not exactly how Starfleet would want them to, but here's a Nausicaan who's, like, abducted and enslaved people, and handed him over to Starfleet custody, with the implication that, frankly, they could have as many of the Nausicaans as they want. They're all beaten up and on their ship right now. And that... Oh, yes, he did also infer heavily that Yuvor had expressed that Yuvor might like to have some more conversations because this Nausicaan seems to have bitten off a bit more than he could chew. And that basically was where we left it. Unless Lieutenant Cantos and Lieutenant Zal want to press Gul Elrad more, I'm happy for a very broad description of how you want to handle this. Do you want to stick around on Anchorage? Do you want to take your Nausicaan, or indeed Nausicaans, and go?
I kind of think we've caused enough hassle on Anchorage itself, and that this feels like a conversation that would be better had on
I agree.
somewhere that is home turf for us, rather than somewhere that's Nautican time.
Yep. Like, at this point, you've already upset Anchorage enough, and you can either just by direct transporter or essentially manhandling them to the transporter pads on Anchorage. You can remove Yuvor. Elrad will happily lend some of his men for you to escort the whole damned lot of them if you want, but...
I don't think we're going to escort all of them. If it's just Yuvor that want to chat, then...
Yeah, you can take...
We will graciously invite Yuvor to come aboard the Iskandar for this chat.
You could invite Yuvor, who is entirely capable of making an informed choice about his life lot, with, like, 6 Cardassians at least, and there'll have to be more on board the Nausicaan ship, pointing rifles at him.
Yeah,
so, yes.
But it will be very busy. Oh,
yes,
Elrad will have this conversation that
you probably also adopt a Cardassian, a group of Cardassians in the process.
They probably just come along anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cardassians are happy to stay at the Nausicaan ship for the moment. Elrad will wish you the best, and you can take Yuvor and get him beamed to the Iskandar and get him dumped in the brig, if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the two... Well, there's more of you, because I believe you had Ensign Ryder at least with you, and maybe crewman Erotica or whatever the fuck their name is.
Carnal.
Erotica. Crewman Erotica.
Crewman Erotica.
Thank you.
Yeah, so your away team may return to the Iskandar with another prisoner in a holding cell. What are you folks doing? What is Lieutenant Cantos's plan?
Well, it's Yuvor who's the one who wanted the conversation, so let us have this conversation.
Okay, who are you bringing with you?
Zal, for a start, at least.
Okay.
Who else? Let me just check names of people. This is going to be embarrassing when I say Vance.
Okay, yeah, Vance.
I'd forgotten your character was.
It's okay, I forgot to open his character sheet. I don't need Athan's, but I will... I don't have a PDF reader. Oh, I've got to use Microsoft Edge to open this PDF.
Edge.
What is this? It's not okay. Right, okay.
But we're role-playing again now. Is this Vance's reaction?
You can get down to the brig. You have Lieutenant Vance, Chief of Security, and Lieutenant Zal, another security officer, in tow, and find the underguard and kept far away from Lieutenant Novak's cell, Yuvor, the big, burly, as appears to be all Nausicaans, captain of the Nausicaan Raiders. who has been clearly beaten up quite a lot.
Like a good attitude.
He looked fine last time you saw him, then you saw him in the hands of Cardassians. So he was up. Well, I guess Federation cell's a better one to be in than a Cardassian one. Well done, you got them to do your dirty work for you.
We didn't ask them to do that.
How convenient. And yet here I am.
And yet here you are. So, what did you want to talk to us about?
Alright. All of this has gone really not what I signed up for, not as difficult as I wanted, not worth it. So, I know you're the Federation, so if I just give you this for free, you'll still try to arrest me, but if you make a deal, you might stick to it, right?
I'm listening.
Fuck. We were hired for the attack on the Antares. Specifically. That specific ship, that specific time. By a Talarian officer. By the name of Captain Jovane. Looks as if this Captain Jovane, I assumed that this was, I don't know, he wanted to disrupt Federation whatever or something, but I think it's a bit more complicated than that. Because what he specifically wanted me to do was to attack the Antares and extract this Commander Loxley, this Lieutenant Thdrave, this Lieutenant Weber, and this Lieutenant Novak. Well, the team. The four of them. And he said that I could take whoever else I wanted from the crew, sell them that they were they're my fee. I get intel enough to do a strike on a Federation ship. I get a nice happy sack of Federation slaves, sell them, that's my pay. And so we do it, we extract them, and however, then the next part of this job is to allow Loxley and his two mates to go. That we get them near to Anchorage, and then once we've crossed the Federation border, I give them a shuttle and let them head off for Talarian space. So what, you've got defectors on your hand or something like that? What I didn't expect was for there to be your ship so near in the area, and for you to come chasing after us, and for you to take all of my produce. Don't know what this Novak's about. She wasn't part of the deal.
Well, we'll find that out later.
But yeah, that's my part of it. Getting involved, it turns out, in some bullshit politics between the Talarians and the Federation, and the fact that you've got some defectors or spies returning, or I don't fucking know. We got them out, deniably, gave them a shuttle.
And nothing about where they were going to go, other than just to our space?
There's only so many. I mean, they've not been gone that long, and it wasn't a very big shuttle. They didn't have a very great warp factor, so they're probably not across the board.
No, they're not going to be too far away, but.
And consider we picked up your sensor sweeps on us for a bit from a distance because you all were doing some pretty sloppy detection work on catching us our trail. I'm pretty sure that Loxley. There's a route Loxley would have taken, which I guess I can. There's a Class 2 Nebula in the region. Sit through that and he'll be harder to trace, but if you can, it's a more roundabout route, so maybe you can beat him to it. So what do I get out of this?
What sort of thing are you looking for?
Right now, being out of this cell, getting my ship and my crew back, and cutting my fucking losses.
That can definitely be arranged.
Right.
If that's all you're after, then
I mean, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
back on your ship.
I guess it depends on if he has murdered a Starfleet officer, though. Just saying.
Oh, there were casualties. There were deaths on the boarding of the Antares.
Right. Okay. That's part of.
Like, I think, like, not a lot, but like people. It was a fight. People died.
Okay. I wasn't.
I forgot.
I
Like,
don't
yeah.
think that kind of came up. That people.
I don't think it came up very specifically. No, but there will have been.
No,
casualties.
like injuries. Yeah, but it didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Like there was ship to ship combat and boarding. So like, let's say 3 people died.
Okay.
Except that's not a detail I specified.
Yeah. Some people are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Red shirt. Ugh. In that case. Okay.
Ugh, morality's made this complicated.
Yeah, like until it was like, they've actually killed people. Fuck. No, it's not just a case of just like, okay, cool, fuck
I
off.
mean, also, he did give the order to shoot Talandra in the face. Like, that was 100% on Yuval.
Yes, but you know,
He's an evil Nausicaan slaver. Like,
I'm in sickbay. I can't help you. I can just make it worse.
you can just make it worse. This is
flat
true.
out ghost Talandra.
I'm not dead yet. You shit.
Sometimes I can
I love it, that's when you said like kill the Starfleet officer. I was like, wait, shit, what?
Yeah, that's how we find out by Izzy being sardonic at us.
That's how we find out Talandra's dead. Suggestions welcome from the floor while I try and think.
Vance will kind of go. Well, there's. Gaff does the accent. I suppose we could try to just offer him the freedom of his crew. I mean, right now they're still a bit stuck by the Cardassians, so we keep him. I don't know if this is the kind of guy who's going to have loyalty towards them. Also, on the other hand, he's also just told us exactly what we want, and we didn't really make an agreement, and he's a fucking Nausicaan raider. We could just sling the whole damn lot of them over. We could take them all.
We could just take them all. We could just go.
It's not as if we'll not be able to make good deals with Nausicaan slavers in the future.
No, at this stage, Commander, Lieutenant, there's really no need to play by his rules. He is in our hands. They are utterly detained.
He's cooperated to try to exploit Starfleet's sense of honor. I don't think that has to be something which is a weapon which gets used against us. Not in this case.
Right. Well, in that case, yes. Yeah, if that's all you're after, then the crew can certainly go free.
Yeah.
Not bother them. And I guess we'll then be on our merry way.
Wait. Small detail you're not including. Look, you can get more rest with the rest of the crew than me.
Sorry?
Fuck. We had a deal.
Did we?
Did we? Because
I thought
you
you weren't
told
supposed
us
to.
everything before we actually agreed to anything.
Is this how you often do business?
Is this how Starfleet often keeps its moral high ground? Or are you just as much of a bunch of backhanded pissants looking out for yourself as everyone else?
I think in this case you'll find that we're keeping our moral high ground by taking the person who has killed Starfleet officers, given the order to shoot my commander in the head, and taken Starfleet personnel as slaves, and seeing that the right thing's done with them.
I hope the Talarians got you all.
I hope he sounds comfortable. And
Boom.
mic drop, and out we go.
Yes, you can leave. Right.
Now we
What is Kantos's intention?
going after that fucking shuttle.
Okay. Yeah, you can make me someone who can navigate. You're the fucking helm.
I'm the fucking helm.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
doing
God.
my job, damn it. The one thing in this whole scenario that I actually understand is how to fly this goddamn ship. So I am flying this ship.
Discipline guide. There it is. You need to figure out a navigation route, just to try to trace them. So, sorry.
Do you want me to use
How to-
reason, insight,
The system.
control? Baby daring.
Okay. This is first actually trying to figure out the route.
Yeah, rather than
So it's probably going to be reason and con. So it's difficulty 1 success. Yeah, it's not that complicated. Yeah, it's not difficulty 0. It's difficulty 1. I remember how to run this.
So that's a 1. And that's
Boom.
boom. And that's a 13, 9, 5. Yeah, that is 3 successes.
Kantos is just angry navigating.
Okay, yeah, you can.
No, Candace is still riding high on this whole thing. Boom. Mic drop.
I was a badass officer.
They're feeling like a badass and like they actually know what they're doing.
Okay, y'all can rally up to the bridge. Cantos sits down at the helm controls and starts to bring up the navigational data, and you get a little map which comes up on the view screen, which sort of shows Anchorage and the big blob that is Federation space, and the big reddish blob that is Talarian space, and you're on this neutral area in the middle, and the little fuzzy thing on your map, which is this nebula, and you're like, right, if they left at this time and on this kind of speed, then right.
I've got this phone.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on whether or not you can. You had very vague data from Yuvor. Like he just said it had a low warp speed, and you don't have you've got a broad time of when this shuttle will have to have left, but you don't have any more specific information than that.
Sure, but
it's
the broad time that we've got of they have to have left between this point and this point, and the kind of range of warps that are average for shuttles, possibly weighting slightly towards the lower end.
Yeah.
Like a range of potential distances that they could have got can be kind of.
You're confident that they won't have.
They won't have got past this point. They'll have got past this point.
Yes.
So somewhere in between.
The nebula goes very close up to the border. Not quite. There's a small stretch of kind of open space, of neutral space before the Talarian border officially begins. So really, it's following them into the nebula. Well, you need to take a closer look at the nebula when you're there to figure out how easy that would be. And you're probably. So, are you looking to follow them directly through the nebula, or are you looking to circumnavigate the nebula? You're in a ship with a bit higher warp factor, so just going around it is not an unreasonable thing to figure you can probably do in time.
Yeah. How far through the nebula are they likely to be?
They're probably a good way into the nebula right now.
Yeah.
Or at least by the time you get there, they'll almost.
By the time we get there, they'll be kind of halfway through or something.
So yeah, finding them in the nebula would be a job. Not, again, you don't know how hard because you don't have much of the details of the nebula, but it would be a job. So you could try to follow them directly or try to go around and wait for them on the other side.
Let's try going round the nebula.
Okay. All right. In which case, and the ship can assist on this, can I have this...
Shit, sir!
I'm going to make this daring because you're going fast.
Yes!
Daring and con check.
Difficulty...
The ship is using
Your ship will be using con and engines.
Yes, ship will be using con and engines. Definitely con and engines. And I have no reason to make this a more than a difficulty 1 check. I just want to, but yeah. I can, but I can't arbitrarily decide this is really hard, but that's what makes it a difficulty 1 and not a difficulty 0.
I'm chasing 16 or below and have helm operations as a focus.
I know you'll probably be fine, but just because you're doing that doesn't mean I should
Cool, we can have momentum.
Difficulty 1.
Or... Shouldn't have said any of that.
Give me some threat.
We
Yeah.
have a 20.
No, thank you, Emily.
What was
She
the
really
other
needed
dice?
more threats.
The other one was an 11.
Okay.
So that is
Indeed.
comfortably.
I don't remember what I spent threat on, so I'm just going to spend threat on whatever I damn well please.
That's
Yeah,
pretty much
like,
threat, yeah.
I know. I don't like systems where it's like, oh, the GM could do something horrible to you if they spend this limited currency. The currency is me, my brain.
You are the goddamn currency in this.
Make it rain,
Yeah,
suffer.
the ship rolls 19, so that's nothing. But yeah, given helm operations and astronavigation. Oh wait, no, that's not how focuses work. So
But helm operations, which is a really broad focus for a con officer to have.
I got
believe-
that one out of the rule book as a suggested thing. I was like, yes, please.
Why would
Nice and
you choose
broad.
that? Why wouldn't you choose that? It's like command officers having diplomacy. Like, hi, I'm talking to someone. I get a buff. No, that makes sense.
Calm down as one of my focuses for Cantos as well.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that's not how focuses work, so that is just 1 success.
Okay, you have you're set. But okay, you can set off at your Leisurier for this mission, but you're still you're in orbit of Anchorage. The trader is still around. Anchorage is still there. Do you have anything you wish to do before you depart?
You
Do we still have the Cardassians?
No, they
It's
didn't.
not Yuvor.
You only took Yuvor, so they didn't take the Cardassians.
Oh no, wait, the Cardassians. We haven't taken any Cardassians on board.
Not if you wouldn't have needed to if you only took Yuvor.
You
So
gotta tell the
there's
Cardassians what's
with
happening.
like a hold full of Nausicaan.
Yeah.
I don't think, unless anybody else wants to do something with the Nausicaan ship.
Actually.
Or if they
Vance.
want to do something before we leave.
Yeah, Vance will kind of go, Lieutenant, are we, again, I don't really care if we're gonna, like, drag the Nausicaans off to be imprisoned, etc., but are we leaving them in Cardassian hands? For Cardassian justice? Or what are the Cardassians gonna do with them? I mean, they might want to let them go, I don't know, but...
Based on what's happened thus far, that sounds relatively unlikely.
So they might let them go. I don't know. Maybe this gull can't be bothered. I mean, but I don't know. He didn't say. He seemed to think it was down to us, and we didn't really tell him anything. I mean, we took Yuvor. That's all we wanted.
took Yuvor.
I know we're not in a position to have an argument with a Cardassian gull or fight for the sake of 20 Nausicaan bastards, but I don't know what their plans are.
You know what we could do?
Hmm?
We could ask them.
That's... Yeah, Lieutenant. This is why you're next in the chain of command, I reckon, Lieutenant.
Something, I guess.
Okay, there's
Hold on.
bridge crew can hail the Trador, and this time, although you weren't here last time you tried, this time the view screen does shift, and indeed you get the murky visuals of the Trador's bridge, and sat in front and center is Gull Elrad. Iskandar, I hope that your Nausicaan has proven as useful as you want him to be.
As useful as we wanted him to be, and some.
That's very gratifying to hear. Do you have a heading? Do you have a lead?
We do. We do. Speaking of Nausicaans that we have, what are your plans of yours?
At present, I have them still under lockdown on their ship. I wasn't sure whether or not you were going to need them, but I've considered their apprehension to be my rendering of assistance to Starfleet in this matter. Do you have any further need of them?
Not especially.
Then I have a very long patrol ahead of me after I leave Anchorage. I cannot say I have a grand deal of interest in carting 20 smelly, angry, sulky Nausicaans in my brig to and fro to be dragged back. And truthfully, I'm not sure I would have to dig to find offences that they've committed against the Cardassian Union. So if I was planning on probably destroying a large amount of their equipment and ruining their operations forever and then leaving them to carry on their way. If that's amenable to you, Lieutenant.
It's the equipment that they've almost certainly not acquired through legal means, let's put it that way.
Will use and continue.
And will undoubtedly be used in the future for unsavory purposes.
Of course, I forget. Apologies. You have your presumptions of innocence until proven guilty in the Federation. I had no intention of offending you. If you'd, as I say, I have intended to offer assistance in this. If you would rather I just simply let the miserable lot of rats scurry away, that will save me time and effort.
I obviously work out what I'm saying, mate.
See how many renegade points Kantos is going to rack up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out. Like,
You already got some for being like, we didn't actually make a deal, shit eyes.
Oh, you have this on the values sheet. Just looking at that. Letting this in full action. If you've no intention of taking them with you, then I'll leave it in your hands what you do with their stuff.
Then I think this particular pirate operation and slavery operation will not be troubling this sector, at least for a while. They can sing for their supper on Anchorage. This is the lifestyle that they have embraced, and we'll see how they manage. So you're leaving us, Iskandar, I take it?
We are, yes. We will be off on our merry way to find out where these missing officers have got to.
As ever, you have my... contact me if you have any emergencies. However, I shan't be staying in Anchorage much longer. I don't think they're very fond of me and my ship anymore. So we will probably be underway within the hour also. In which case, I wish you good fortune on your mission. I would appreciate knowing how this ends. If you can contact my ship, I would... professional curiosity.
We'll keep you posted.
Thank you. And please give my best to the commander upon her full recovery.
I will.
Smooth sailing to you, Iskandar.
And to you, Trader.
Elrad out. Screen goes blank. off you go.
Off we go.
And setting a course, as Kantos tells themselves to set a course. As taking
Probably a brief pause while they're waiting for somebody to say, plot a course out. And then they go, oh wait, no, that's me. I tell the helm what to do. I tell me what to do.
Fly good. So yeah, the Iskandar can set a course and do its cute little nacelle thing of the Intrepid class before shooting off to warp away from anchorage after so many sessions there, leaving the station and its Nausicans and Cardassians behind. And you have about good... I appreciate my players come prepared. You have a good 9 hours of space, of travel time ahead of you before to navigate around the nebula and reach this open patch of this final run between the nebula and the border. So, does anyone have anything they want to do in that time?
Curl up in a corner and cry.
Okay.
I'm not sure which of my characters that applies.
Kantos and Strange pick opposite corners of the bridge and cry.
Well, Kantos is... I don't need to roleplay, but Kantos is being taken to lunch by Arcady.
Yes.
Which is just a...
Adina and Arcady are going to get lunch.
When I say taken to lunch, I mean more of a... You've been on duty solidly now for about 20 hours. You need to come and eat something and take a nap.
Can we get a snippet of what that scene looks like?
Like, Burov comes up to the bridge and just, like, very carefully just does this thing where they just kind of... They obviously can't lift.
But then there's, like, suddenly, like, hands underneath their elbows.
Just,
sort of thing.
Come on. I think, professionally speaking, you can give the con to someone else for 2 hours. The ship will be fine. You look like hell. But, like, really, really cute hell who makes their uniform work for them. But hell that needs a nap and some good reconstituted protein.
I'll take your professional opinion on board.
Well, I'm starving, so we can go together.
Let's do that. And Candace will hand the con off to the next poor sod down the line.
Vance.
It's Vance the next poor sod down the line.
I love the idea that Arcady's being really protective of their best friend. So like has an arm around this obviously like shaken looking Kantos, and then just goes, Vance, you have the con.
Third officer Vance, which is a job which shouldn't come up as much as it does on.
Hey, there's a tertiary shift.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Vance takes the con and has no initiative whatsoever of his own in this mission, so or does he? We'll see.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anything anyone else wants to do during that time?
My sad boy would like to go and see Talandra in the med bay, which might take.
Space Mom.
I need to check on Space Mom. And it's like this actually makes for a fairly interesting scene with Arcady having left. If Arcady is not in the room and there's just other medics around, what is the state of Talandra?
She's currently in one of those. Well, for starters, like when you come in to see her, you know, the medics will sort of take you over to her, but will say like she's not conscious, but you're welcome to come over. And she's in one of those kind of recovery beds, and she has one of those kind of arch things over her head, which has like obviously like there's a lot of light coming off it, and there's something that's holding her head very much in place, like a force field that's keeping everything in place while it does the whole trying to re-knit the skin. But it's quite clear that like there's a bit where it's healing over in front of you, and it's just it's not it's much more pleasant than it was, but looking at it, you can see how much it must have been to be that now, and it isn't pleasant. She looks very peaceful though.
So there's a conflict in where Casey chooses to look as he sets his eyes upon Talandra. A combination of looking at the peacefulness that is across her face and the tended to wound, and eventually he'll kind of almost frustratedly sigh and look away, and he just begins talking about normal routine things, like the engineering briefing went very well. Clearly Lieutenant Strange is still a little affected by the goings on, but as fluid as we could hope. Even with the ship's limited capacity and a few elements that would have made things a bit smoother going, I have to admit there has been an exemplary job done. And all in all, I can't find any faults in the way that the engineering staff has been behaving. And so everything is as it should be. Although it isn't. Is it? And I keep playing it over in my head, trying to figure out what went wrong. Because the situation, as far as I understand, was under control. We didn't have the upper hand. It was a stalemate. But I don't understand why you got hurt. And he kind of rounds a little on her now. And I've been trying to figure it out. And I realize that the problem is that I have all manner of blame and hurts, and I want to ascribe that to someone. And there is no reasonable recourse for where that should go. I think of the ones that actually shot you, but that doesn't feel satisfactory, because then I think about the wider situation, and I think about everything that we have come to learn, and how this is a web of lies and deceit and things we are yet to uncover, and the truth of it we don't have. And while we don't have the truth of it, I don't know who to blame for the fact that you are... for the fact that you've been hurt. And I've lost everyone that I care about. If they're going to go, it's not peacefully. It's ever since the war, it's just been violent loss after violent loss, and you weren't supposed to be among them. And so you have to get better. Commander, you have to. Because you were the steady hand. You kept me focused. You taught me how to logically and rationally put these feelings aside. But knowing that you have been so grievously wounded makes me want to find the culprits and ascribe the blame. I want to wreak a bloody vengeance in your name. And that is unbefitting a Starfleet officer. I should let you rest. I'll be back in a rotation or two. And at that he will leave.
It started regenerating her ear. The medical staff are obviously giving you a wide berth because you seem like that.
I will wreak a bloody vengeance in your name.
The ensign's having a moment.
They'll just put it in their report to Dr. Burrow.
There was a very sad boy in us.
Which one?
One of the sad boys came in. He was very sad.
Strange, I'd like to talk to you. Your sadness rating is up 3 points this week.
I have a sadness rating?
Oh, yes, everyone does.
See, does that make sense?
Why do you think we call you and Casey the sad boys? This is your week.
The sad boys?
You win Sad Boy of the Week trophy.
Look at boy, it's so sad.
Just like pictures on the wall, and 1 week it's Casey, the other week it's Strange, and 1 week it's Casey.
And it's all just candid to them being like, huh? You're so sad. I was startled. Startled sad.
Anyway, Christ.
I will put my undeserved sad boy of the week trophy on the shelf. It's not deserved this time.
That's true. Strange does not deserve to be the sad boy of the week this week. Strange has had an alright week. Okay, if there is nothing else, no other... Is there any prep work that can, like, professional prep work that the Iskandar wants to get done ahead of arrival? Or do they just want a little bit of time off?
How far ahead do we reckon we're going to get there?
You don't have, without a precise like departure time, which Yurov is probably not going to talk to you anymore.
No, but yeah, again, kind of working off the same estimates that we were using before. Or we're talking, we'll get there, and then we're expecting them to suddenly appear not long after we get there, or are we talking we'll get there, we'll have a couple hours?
You're thinking it might be within hours rather to wait for them, but again, we don't
know for sure. But...
got like the day they left. You don't even have it down to anything more precise than that. Yurov didn't give you anything better than that.
Yeah, like we can say they left in the morning.
Yeah, that's basically the extent of information that you've got from anyone. No one's given you more precise.
Yeah, plus someone is like
info on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In which case, we shall move the time, take that momentum away.
Boom.
I use scenes very loosely because you're like fucking roleplay, and I hate the idea that you lose your bonuses because you're like, no, I want to talk to someone. Well, it's gonna cost you.
I'm gonna spend this one momentum doing a whole monologue.
Yeah, technically speaking, Casey crying at Talandra should cost you momentum.
And you should have blown something up.
And you roll dice rolls, lose some momentum. Just roll to cry. Okay. In which case, then we will cut to about 9 hours later. The bridge crew, which is Lieutenant Kantos, presumably in the big chair, because their second can fly the ship. Lieutenant Casey at science, or at the operations console, because that's more visible to sit in Harry Kim's chair from the camera angles, and Lieutenant Vance at tactical. Is Burov on the bridge because they fancy it, or is Burov doing their damn job?
Burov is not on the bridge.
Yeah, cool. I just thought I'd give you the choice. Doctors go wherever they damn well please.
Why are you here?
Yeah, and the ship drops out of...
Yeah.
I was going to say hyperspace. I've been jamming far too much Star Wars.
On the bridge.
Sorry? Oh, Strange. Yeah, Strange could be at engineering console. If you want Strange to be. Strange could be...
I don't.
Please.
Yeah, that's why Strange is now on the bridge.
After my sad boy trophy, says Casey.
You look sad.
Strange wants that trophy, damn it.
God damn. Okay, so they're on the bridge, and the Iskandar drops out of warp. Immediately with the view screen and on the sensors, you can see the big, blooming, greenish, swirling blob that is the distant, but not enormously distant, nebula, and the rest of it looks like fucking space. But on your sensors, you can see the point. You're within a few... God, I've not played enough Elite recently to remember how my space distance works.
Space.
A distance... A big fuck off distance, but you are within kind of space stone's throw of the official formal Talarian border. So you're kind of in between and the border. In fact, on an initial sensor sweep, Vance will look up and go, Lieutenant, I am detecting a Talarian starship, about the same size as ours, on the other side, on their side of the border. They appear to be holding steady.
That's alright, so I'm going to say their side of the border would say this side of theirs, then that shouldn't be a problem.
If there's
anything that looks like it might be a mystery shuttlecraft through that nebula.
Vance looks over at Casey.
Casey will start pressing some buttons.
Okay, this is going to be really difficult. So this is going to be a science and reason. I guess reason's the usual one you use. Difficulty... I'm going to crank it up. Let's say difficulty 2. And extra successes will potentially get you extra information. You may use the ship for science and sensors if you wish as well.
Could you sort me a ship roll, Emily?
I have already done you a ship roll.
Cool, because I got a garbage roll for garbage people. That is one success.
At least... Okay, so you got one success, so the ship one can also count. The ship rolled a 4. Remind me, do...
Can ships help with focus?
That was my next question.
I don't think...
If ships have a thing with focuses, like there are no focuses on this sheet, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sworn that there's
Would astrophysics be an applicable focus?
Astrophysics would exactly be an applicable focus if it was under your discipline.
It was not. So
yes, then it doesn't matter. I'm going to say for the moment the ship can't help with focuses because God knows where the fuck it is in that book because it'll be under
the ship gets success anyway.
Section. Okay. 2.
So that is 2 successes.
Considering that Casey has done an awful lot of studying recently of the engine and warp signatures of Nausicaan ships. Oh, yeah, by the way, that thing where they said that, we totally knew you were after us because of the sensor thing, that was because you botched on one of those sensor checks back in session 1. I wrote that down. Just I remembered. That's why it happened. But no one else will remember. However, you've analysed the fuck out of Nausicaan ship sensors. Engine tracked them a lot. You can detect... within the nebula, the indication that you are picking up traces of that from within the nebula, and nothing on this side of it is about as good as you can get. There's a lot of interference. You can't really say comfortably how close they are because the signal is getting dissipated, but it sure as shit has not come through this way.
It's not come through this way, and it's probably going to. We're sitting in front of at least the bright bit of nebula.
It's probably coming this way, and also you're in a spot where you'll unless it goes really you'll probably be able to fucking sense it, and you're in a way bigger ship and a way faster ship.
Yeah, so we can move to another bit of nebula should we need to, but we're probably close enough at the minute.
And it's that they're using the nebula almost to help mask where they are.
If you weren't specifically looking for this, and you weren't good at your job, if you weren't specifically looking for this engine reading of a Nausicaan ship in this nebula, just your general scans would not have revealed it to you.
Yeah.
They're making good use of the nebula in order to try and disguise themselves. I have only a rough approximation, but I do think I have their whereabouts.
Yeah.
Vance looks up. Lieutenant, we are being hailed. It's the Talarian ship called the Dawnblade.
The Dawnblade.
Someone called Captain Jovane wishes to speak with you.
Captain Gervain, eh? On screen.
Okay. The screen flickers. You get the mostly human. Humans with pointy bits are basically Talarians. They have forehead bumps. Thank you, canon species of next generation stuff.
Klingon light.
Yeah, that's basically the Talarians. Yeah, they are Klingon light. I meant to keep on expositing about them more and more, but you never talk to the people who do that.
No.
So yeah, a big husky, probably like mid-40s looking, if he were human, male, dark hair, bit of grizzled beard, sour-looking sort of expression. This is Captain Jovane of the Talarian Republic and the ship Dawnblade. State your business on our border, Starfleet.
This is Lieutenant Kantos of the USS Iskandar, and we are here because there are some runaways from the Federation and from Starfleet that are headed this way that we'd like to have a chat with. We have no business your side of the border. It just happens, our business just happens to take us a bit close.
Yes, your business happens to keep you, however, in neutral space, not Federation space. I am conducting a mission on behalf of the Republic. If you involve yourselves into our operations, this will not be tolerated, and we will take all possible steps against you. We have business with people coming to us.
Yeah, so I've heard.
At this point in time, we are happy to open into negotiations with anyone who wishes to speak with us. And, as I say, so long as you sit around there in neutral space, you are not a problem. But if you try to cross the border, or if you try to interfere with my mission, then you and I will have a falling out, Lieutenant.
And what, pray tell, is your mission? So that I know whether or not I'm going to be interfering with it.
I'm awaiting this shuttle. They are to cross into the border undisturbed.
Very well.
Looks like you've got some time to think about it. If you try to interfere, don't worry, I will cross the border and I will stop you.
Duly noted.
Good. So long as you understand. Jovane, out. And the fight to hang up begins.
Which coming from him. Right.
Surely we're not going to acquiesce with that.
No, of course we're not. But it does mean that we're going to need to do this much more quickly than possibly had previously planned. So we're going to need a way of getting those people off of that shuttle, or getting that shuttle and getting out of here.
Well, we don't know what they're going to do if we go into the nebula.
That's true. We have got the nebula. We can use that the same way that.
However, if the Iskandar goes into the nebula, like they might give us the slip. We're going in a little bit bland. We got good sensors, but we could.
That does leave us a bit blind.
They might get past us. Now the good news is, if the Dawnblade wants to follow us, they've also got to go into the nebula.
They've also got to go into the nebula. That's kind of where my thinking's starting to go, is for our escape route from this.
Yeah,
Let's do
rather
that
than.
nebula.
I mean, I'm doing assessment of the ship. I don't know how it's been, what, 20 years, 10 years since we fought the Talarians. Our data on their military is not. I mean, they're a militarized race, but our up-to-date intel on them is not brilliant. I'm not saying that we should turn tail and run, but I'm saying that we're going to have a slugging match on our hands if this turns into a fight. Is my best, Lieutenant.
Well, this is kind of why I'm thinking that, not turn tail and run, but we make a hasty exit once our work is done and get our work done as quickly as possible.
I agree. If we get the shuttle, there's no point in us getting into an altercation. I mean, if the Talarian Republic has been fucking around by trying to send Nazican raiders to abduct Starfleet officers, and they're trying to pick up some defectors, I don't think that they're going to have much grounds to turn around and complain if we give one of their ships a bloody nose at the end of all this.
Quite.
We could send a shuttle into the nebula.
Ugh.
Leaves the Iskandar here in case the shuttle comes out the other side. Possibly stops the Dawnblade from interfering in any mission. So the shuttle can freely go and look for the...
True, the shuttle can freely go and look whilst the Talarians are focused on us.
We don't know how big the shuttle is. We don't know if we'd be... We don't know anything about Loxley's motivations and whether or not we can reason with him. And we don't know if it'll turn into a fight in the nebula.
Which I'd be keen to avoid doing that in shuttle to shuttle.
Yeah, we have no idea of the capabilities of that shuttle. We've got some hardy little shuttles.
Yeah, but we don't know how hardy they are. No. How accurate are readings on where they are, the shuttle, looking into?
They're not the most accurate, but if you give me more time, I might be able to refine the process.
If you can refine it and get it as accurate as possible, then that would make things easier for us to run in, grab them, and go.
Casey also, I mean, obviously proximity makes it easier, but yeah, if you sat here and tried to work on it, you might be able to get a better... Also, theoretically, as they get closer to you...
Yeah, they're getting closer, so it is going to get easier, surely. Yeah.
Just obviously, the closer then they get, the less of a window you have to act once you find them.
It will get easier over time. However, there is a degree to which I can do my best work on the Iskandar. If I'm aboard a shuttle trying to make the same operations, it might be a little trickier, but I'm still prepared to do it.
Let's try it the easier way first before we start chucking people in shuttles into the nebula. The other thing we're going to then need to sort out is getting ourselves out of here as quickly as possible once we've grabbed them. So we're going to need to make sure that we can get a nice high warp as quickly as possible. You Lieutenant Strange, and I'm aware that I've just brought myself into some trouble.
It always happens to you!
Sorry?
It always happens to you.
It doesn't always. I think Izzy's done more goleming than me.
Zal and Casey have never spoken.
Zal and Casey have never spoken.
Zal hates him.
You need goleming at some point.
Weirdly, I've not had the golem, but...
Vance and Assad definitely had a conversation.
Nope.
I'm sure
We
they
made-
had the...
We made him talk to Talandra, or to Kantos, I think.
It doesn't. It helps that Talandra and Burov have very distinctive voices, so hopping backwards and forwards is quite easy.
Yeah, no, it's the same with, Kantos and...
Accents. But, yes, strange.
The magic of accents. So,
Theoretically,
while I get into accents, is there anything that you want to chuck at engineering? By way of...
It's a nebula. It's magic space nebula. You know,
Magic Space Nebula.
It's a thing. If you want to make up some crazy shit, then be my guest.
That'll be for navigation. That counts as bubbles. This is more just how are we doing on acceleration?
Well, you haven't used up any power on this mission.
No.
Or I think maybe you did once, but yeah, you've still got. I don't recall. I think it was discussed and then never happened. I think it's plenty of power.
I haven't got anything written on the...
Yeah, I trust your notes more than probably anyone else's notes.
Notes? What? No. I have character sheets.
I just start scribbling on the character sheet. Yeah. Okay, then you've still got plenty of power. Yeah.
Whilst we have been missing a few components from bits and pieces here and there, I don't see any reason why we can't just jump to as high a warp as possible, as quickly as possible, to move and get this over and done with.
Vance shifts and goes, might be a little bit on the late side now. We have no idea whether or not Lieutenant Novak's going to be of any use in... Is it bargaining chip with the commander? I don't know. Or if she knows anything.
I think I'll defer to your judgment on this if you think I'm wrong, but I think if she knows anything, she's not going to tell us.
Probably not.
Bargaining shit, that's a good point.
She's more busted now than she was,
No, I know.
when we last talked to her.
If there was ever, this is Zal, if there was ever a time to reopen negotiations, that now would be it.
How much time do you reckon we've got at the minute, Casey?
How much time?
You've got at least an hour.
An hour, maybe less, maybe more.
Probably more.
It would need to be probably more. Whatever we do would need to be quick.
Okay, well... In that case, whilst I hear you. Zal, at the very least, you should go and talk to Novak. You got a better read on her than I did or Lance did.
And also, I'd much rather be staying at tactical if these Talarians are going to come at us any time.
Well, I think it's probably better if I stay on the con. But
Give me a rundown of what you want me to find out, and I'll see if I can find it out.
See if there's any more information she's willing to put up with on what the hell Loxley's up to. What does Loxley want out of this whole scenario? And any kind of either finding out directly or just from getting a read on her as to how useful she's likely to be as a bargaining chip with that shuffle full of folk.
Certainly.
I think if there's ever a time to play hardball with her, it's now.
Understand.
Okay. As I believe then the plan is Strange gets ready for escaperoo. Casey continues to press the sensor buttons and try to get him.
Sensor buttons. And then the last person to talk to about the plan is Linkovich.
Okay.
Can we just grab him and go?
Linkovich, who is probably a little bit shaken after his recent experiences with utilizing the transporter when people got shot in the head,
the last time Captos gave him orders.
Down with his hands fused to the transporters, ready and keen and willing. Okay, as people prepare then, what everyone is doing will take time. So let's take Zal down in the brig.
Cool. Pretty much going into this blind. I don't really have a plan, but that's the best type of role play. So I'll be heading in just on my own. How is she looking?
She's looking still pretty blank face, like controlled face as you left her, but then she has no reason to know anything's changed. So, Lieutenant,
how has the weight been keeping you?
Well, it's clear by now you're not taking this as some sort of misunderstanding where I'm going to be let out anytime soon, so it is boring.
Then perhaps we can try and liven things up. We are currently on the edge of Talarian space. And I presume you have every understanding of why we might be on the edge of Talarian space.
I'm not about to reveal secrets of my friends, Lieutenant.
Friends including Loxley, I take it.
Let's kick this off just now to see how this will go with a security and presence check.
Cool. Those.
So.
They are complete failures. I have no successes.
Well, neither does she. So.
Oh wait, no, forgive me. That's one success.
Hey.
Yeah, forgive me.
Thankfully, she rolled utter garbage as well.
Yay! Intimidate off. So far, Muscles wins. Flex harder. Sorry.
Did you fight in the war, Lieutenant? I apologise. Despite having worked with Lieutenant Thedray for a while, I'm not very good at judging Andorian ages.
I did, as a matter of fact. And I've worked long enough with humans to know that I can see someone who has fought themselves.
We were some of the last survivors of our ship. Everyone except for the four of us who walked away from... What the fuck is the name of the battle? Doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't have a name. Who walked away from that battle isn't in Starfleet anymore. They were too badly injured or too badly shaken or simply wanted to return to their families. It was just the four of us, and it has been since the war, and it was for a long time during the war. I won't say they're my family. I have a family. But they're the next best thing.
No, I know fully exactly what you're speaking of. We are a very honor-bound people.
I know.
There are those that I cleave my honor to, that I hold in a regard possibly higher than that of family. And many of them, they are not Andorian, they are Starfleet. All manner of races and species.
Look, I think it's pretty clear that I'm going to walk away from this, at the very least, under massive investigation, which wasn't really how this was supposed to go. So, let me at least try to help my friends and make it clear to you that Commander Loxley has the best interests of the Alpha Quadrant at heart. We all do. That is what we have fought for, what we have tried to continue fighting for, and what we are trying to achieve. We still have a hostile galaxy around us. And whilst I don't believe that history or Starfleet records are going to be kind, the commander is ultimately a patriot.
Patriotism is a strong word.
It is. We all took oaths.
We did.
And yes. However, one oath goes to protect the Federation, and another goes to uphold its ideals.
Yes.
We are protecting the Federation.
You and me, we are nearly kindred spirits. I too know full well that conflict. In my service to Starfleet, I have been in a position where I had to choose between the Andorian honor that I hold so dear and that is so integral to being a part of my species and to my duties to Starfleet. And I chose Starfleet. To my people, I am an outcast.
I'm sorry to hear that.
there's nothing to be sorry for.
We all make sacrifices when we make choices. That's what real choices are.
Exactly.
I knew what I was helping them with. I didn't think it was going to end like this, but I knew that this was a risk.
Was it worth it?
Only if it works. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of the Talarians. Why do you think I'm not going?
I'm glad you are.
The men are going to have a much easier time over there.
Would that we all had the luxury to step out of a conflict.
Don't think that's the plan.
I'm going to thank you for your time here. Your cooperation has been noted.
I'm not asking for a deal in exchange for it, but I've worked a long time with Federation officers, before, after, during wars, and no one does self-righteous like we do. Sometimes we love to go out there and try to understand the rest of the universe, and we don't really like turning around and trying to understand the people right next to us, because that can sometimes be a bit more uncomfortable.
I see what you're saying. And were I in any other position, I would be doing everything that I could to make sure that you, your ideals, everything that you stand for, was rightfully recognized, and that you were given that opportunity to keep working. As you say, no one does self-righteous like we do.
Oh, I appreciate that, Lieutenant, but I think I've played my hand.
You have. And you lost me the moment you called Loxley a patriot.
Oh dear. That you are. You said you've chosen Starfleet.
Yes. Yes, and I know full well sacrifice, and I know full well everything that we need to put aside in order to be a good and active member of Starfleet.
Okay, so again we get to no one does self-righteous like a Starfleet officer.
It must be...
Then I don't need a monologue from you, Lieutenant.
No. No, unfortunately I don't know what you need. But I'm glad we had this talk. And he will leave.
Okay. You leave. Back on the bridge. I think it's going to be over to Casey, who's trying to get a lead.
Yes. Sorry, I completely tuned out because I was like, yes, this won't involve me.
I see this done, yeah. Can I have another? It's going to be the ship can help. It's going to be another insight and science.
Well, the ship failed.
I
don't need to know what you even asking the ship to solve.
Difficulty 2, because this is quite difficult.
2 successes. Oh wait, no, hold on. 2 successes and
It's a 20.
my focus is does it need to equal or be lower than my focus?
I think equal or lower.
Then
It's less than or equal.
Then one of them is less than or equal my focus.
Discipline, not the attribute.
Yes.
Cool. Just checking. Neat.
Yes.
So that's 3 successes. Okay. As you try to dig in deep sifting through all of this interference, as you try to run more long-range scans into the nebula, what you pick up with is a trail, but it's a very recent trail. And so like from there you're figuring you can start to extrapolate where they are from where they've been, shockingly. You reckon that you've got a half decent bead on them. They're probably at this point, by the time you're done, 37 minutes from exiting the nebula.
He will kind of feed that through the moment he discovers it. I've got a better idea of where they are. There is a trail. I'm able to extrapolate where they're going. If we go in, I should be able to lock us down to their position.
Right. How long from where they currently are estimated to be until they exit the nebula, and then how long until they are within transporter range?
Well, from where you are, like, they've probably got about an hour, probably only about another 15 minutes between the nebula and getting into, between exiting the nebula and crossing the Talarian border. So from where you are, you've probably got about 6 minutes of them exiting the nebula.
That is recanted.
Mm-hmm.
6 minutes. And do we have a good read on where their exit point is? I mean, obviously.
You've got a guess, and also it won't be too difficult for you to reposition yourselves accordingly. With that roll, you're doing pretty well for guesses. You should up that momentum because you got one over the success, Mike.
Yeah. I'm trusting more for you calling out when momentum is gained now, because I've been wrong in the past.
Okay, but yeah, it's gained for when you gain, if anytime you exceed the difficulty.
Yay.
Yeah. I don't think 6 minutes is going to be enough.
And if we're out in the open, then there's a real chance that the Dawnblade might come crashing along. If this is their mission, then I don't think they're just going to sit there and watch while we scoop them up. Also, if they've got their shuttle probably has some form of at least navigational deflectors, so we'd have to either tractor beam them or open fire or convince or force them to lower their shields. We probably can't rely on them coming out of the nebula, transporting them, and running away before the Dawnblade can get to us.
Yeah, we're going in.
All right.
We're going up to them rather than waiting for them to come to us now.
Mm-hmm.
I think thanks to your sterling work, Ensign.
Thank you.
We'll have a good handle on where we can grab them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then.
Okay. Well, you take yourselves into the nebula. Can I start out with a? We'll have a check from. Is Cantos assuming the helm?
Yeah, despite having just said take us in.
Yeah, he said get out of the way.
Actually, no. Yeah. I've got this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, you have one job on this lousy ship.
And I'm gonna fucking well do it.
Then can I have a control and con check difficulty 1?
Well, that's no successes.
Okay.
And a 20. I'm not even joking. I wish I was.
So let's up that threat pool.
Thanks, garbage dice.
Woo, okay.
Those two are going over there.
As you start to, the Iskandar starts to enter the nebula, and very rapidly you start to find that, okay, you've got these sensors.
No, it's very nebulous.
Yeah, your navigational awareness is for shit in this nebula. it's like flying in an airplane into a cloud, and like, what's that story about? You end up flying upside down even because you don't trust your own senses.
Oh yeah, that thing where you start turning and you don't realise that you're turning, but you're still turning because the gravity means, and the way you're turning means that you think it's just gravity. But no, you're turning, you're still turning, and you just end up
your
in
instruments go, oh yeah, no, I don't. My instruments are wrong. Clearly, make a lot of corrections. So it takes.
And then you just do this.
Oh yeah,
That thing.
That thing where you die. Yeah, it takes you about 10 minutes before probably Casey will start to realise actually you're not.
We're going the wrong way. We're going the wrong way.
You've ended up kind of starting to go kind of parallel rather than towards.
That'll be initially expressed in a burst of no, and like frantic console pressing. We're misaligned, and we need to adjust course.
Right. Give us a new heading. Where are they? Lowest to towards now.
Okay, make me another sensor check. Two to find them can help.
Please help, ship.
That's another reason and science.
That would maybe help.
And
Please.
the ship can do a science and sensors assistance.
Please help, ship.
Ship will help. Ship gets a success.
Okay.
2 successes.
Two successes. Okay, with the ship or not with or without.
With the ship.
That's with the ship.
Okay, 2 successes with the two.
Ship did a help.
You start to get a bead on this little shuttle, just coming around, and yep, you can start to follow them in.
Okay.
But-
Does this need another roll?
Well, you've already made one bad roll. The problem is that as you start to navigate around, coming around, you reckon that by the time that you're catching up with them is just as both of you will be coming out of the other side of the nebula.
Not if we go faster.
Okay, you wanna spend some. Make me a roll and spend some power then. Okay, it's gonna be a. I don't remember.
Just a
how
little bit of power. Just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Okay, make me another difficulty 1 control and con check, and yes, the ship can help and can spend some power. However the fuck that works.
The ship can help. Okay. Yeah, I'll take some power off the amount of power we have.
Mm-hmm.
Ship is presumably helping with con and engines.
Yes.
Is this task difficulty 1 because of the environment?
Yeah.
Cool. Can I decrease
Excellent.
that difficulty, please?
Is that a thing our ship does?
No, that's a thing I do.
Nice.
Push the limit can decrease difficulty of contact if difficulty has been increased by environment or ship damage.
Could have done that last time. Yeah.
Cool, so I guess this is now difficulty 0?
Yeah, difficulty 0, so it's theoretically free momentum.
Cool. Oh, those are better rolls from Campos. Campos has suddenly remembered how to fly. Engines con, the ship was no help at all. That's on the other side of the piece of paper, that's at least 1 success. What did you say it was? Control con?
Yeah.
One success from Campos. However,
How
That's
about
enough.
momentum? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you push the damn ship nice and hard to like fucking catch up with this shuttle, and as on the view screen you're coming around through stupid, gloomy, misty green nebula, you realize that you are coming up on this shuttle. You have, by the time you're getting into this range, 1, you can pick it up on sensors. It is a small Norscan shuttle, pretty much comparable to something that you've got in your own shuttle bay. You can detect 3 life signs on board. It does have shields up, and you have about 4 minutes before you would cross out of the nebula. Oh, and Casey, make me a reason and science check, difficulty 1. The ship's sensors can help.
1 success. Oh, sorry, 2 successes.
Add to that momentum.
And what was it? Sensors and
Science.
it doesn't matter. Either way, the ship doesn't succeed. Why is the ship rolling so badly today?
The Dawnblade is outside the nebula. The Dawnblade has crossed from out of Talarian space and is holding outside the nebula. They're not going in.
Lieutenant, the Dawnblade has crossed into neutral space.
Of course they are. Right, get the tailing frequencies up and we'll try this talking method and then we'll escalate from there.
Okay. Yeah, funny enough, as you're coming up on the shuttle, Vance goes, "Yeah, we're being hailed by the shuttle. It's this Commander Loxley."
In that case, don't open it with frequencies, put them on screen.
Okay. You put on screen and you get a human male, late 30s, sandy hair, has this kind of chiseled, good-looking kind of Captain Federation-y look about him. Bit stubbly and messy after probably a few days with Nausicaan raiders. But good-looking young officer on the other side of Marcos. Iskandar, this is Commander Loxley. I think I know why you're here, and I heartily encourage you to let us carry on with what we're trying to achieve.
And what is it that you're trying to achieve here, Commander? Enlighten us.
If you're here, I imagine that there's only so much you don't know. Yes, I intend to defect. And I beg that you simply let me and my people carry on with what is our political right.
Any particular reason that you're begging us to let you do this? Because...
Are there any particular grounds you have for stopping me?
Well, if I remember rightly, it's not just yourselves that are there. There's also something, a piece of tech that you have with you. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Lieutenant. Within a few minutes, we're going to be out of this nebula. Within a few minutes, my friends on the other side of the border are going to be here. So, probably the best thing I can do is let you be able to make an informed decision on what's worth fighting for, Lieutenant. Yes, I have with me a weapon. It's not a super weapon. It's not a weapon of mass destruction. It's a piece of classified data, but oh well, am I going to be revealing classified information now? It's called a transphasic torpedo. It was returned by the USS Voyager, apparently stolen from the future, as a weapon which could be used against the Borg. It is, unsurprisingly, one of the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. It is also, after its recovery, been quarantined by Starfleet on the grounds of the Temporal Prime Directive, to be locked up, studied a little, but only somewhat, and then to not be reverse engineered, not be utilized, not be swept out for every single one of our ships in the fleet so that we can have weapons, better weapons. Because do you think the Dominion is going to stay on their side of the wormhole, Lieutenant? Do you think they're just going to sit there after we've given them the cure for the only weapon which ever did anything against them, else we fought only their Alpha Quadrant and one fleet forces with the combined efforts of our alliance? There are threats. You would
hand over a weapon from the future to the Talarians to make sure that they are able to fight the Dominion off with.
The Talarian. I have been trying to convince Starfleet for the last year, since the war, to be more ready. The Cardassians are going to come back as something. I don't know what. I'm not saying that we should assume the worst, but we should be ready. The Klingons are warmongers. Let's not pretend that they will not want something to fight when they have nothing to fight. And the Romulans are barely out of their isolation. We're friends in hard times. The Talarians are backwards and militaristic and patriarchal, but they are prepared to fight.
And you would give a society that, by your own words, are backwards and militaristic this weapon?
Someone who's prepared to use it, yes. Someone who
And
is
who do you think
ready.
they're going to be prepared to use it on, Loxley? Do you really think that it's going to only get used against the people that you consider to be a threat? No.
I'm not handing it over to them wholesale. It's part of this deal. They get me. They get my people. They get some of the brightest minds in Starfleet security to be able to help make them ready against the dangers which the Federation wants to forget that a war was fought against.
Not all your people.
No.
Mike has forgotten the name of the person we have in the brig.
Novak.
Novak.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree, I think Lieutenant Novak is very proud of the work you're doing.
We've worked together a long time.
It seems a shame after spending so long together in such exceptional and difficult circumstances that you're so willing to turn your back on her now.
I'm not turning my back on anyone. She is a grown woman who can make her own choices.
Very few choices. Now she is in our custody.
That's a shame.
And is that all that is? That's all that amounts to. That's a shame.
That's a shame. She's made her choices. I don't know what you have her in for. In fact, now is a good time as there is a little natural break. Have you been doing anything during this standoff? Has the bridge been doing anything? Okay.
Anybody want to volunteer? I think that's something. Well, we're having this chat.
Cool.
And let me switch brains.
Yeah.
You've been talking and moving. No one's stopped. No ships have stopped in this. They didn't park to have a chat.
Yeah, we're still getting closer and closer to being out of the nebula.
Yep, okay.
No, I think Stranger's just being ready to shunt power around the ship as and when it's needed, once it starts being needed.
Okay.
The only... You go. The only thing I can think of, whilst it feels kind of dramatically apt, but I don't have the capacity to pull it off, would be if Zal was somehow feeding that to a direct line to Novak, but I don't know to what end. So that feels very afterthoughty and towards a dramatic reveal that I have no idea how to deal with. So probably
you could
nothing.
pipe the the entire conversation's comms down into the brig, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just to hurt her feelings.
So just with that.
Cool. Countess is cool with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Yeah, okay. I don't want to speculate on the choices that Lieutenant Novak has made. Because if nothing else, you've got her locked up, and I don't know why she's done everything, and I don't want to give you more ammunition to hurt her. Understand, Lieutenant, this is what it's about. I can persuade the Talarians. I can influence the Talarians. Starfleet hasn't wanted to listen to me. Are they ideal? No. Are they better than the Dominion deciding that they don't like that peace accord, or someone else starting a problem? Yes.
Really?
I believe so.
You are confident that you can persuade them not to take apart this attack, make it work yourselves, in order to make you make it work?
It's not a perfect plan. But I've tried waiting, and waiting wasn't getting me very far either.
So who do you intend to bolster in all of this?
Well, the Talarians will be a fighting force capable of protecting the Alpha Quadrant.
Against subsuming or toppling Starfleets.
Like, subsuming or toppling, hypothetically, anyone.
Anyone.
Again, the Dominion are out there. The Borg are out there.
And when did you begin justifying the death of Starfleet officers to that end? Because we could start running through a list of casualties right now.
Oh, Lieutenant, do not lecture me on command decisions which result in the deaths of officers.
And when did you stop caring about them?
Never. I've had to make the hard choices in the war, and I will make them again.
You could make them again. Right now, I don't think you are making a hard choice. You're making a choice that looks easy. You're making a choice to just move the problem off.
I will let you all. How does assistance work? I will let Kantos make a command and reason check with assistance from Muscles.
Zal, I think, is the one who's been helping the most here, if anybody.
Yes, with Zal. Yeah, but Kantos has been heading this. Just to...
Right. How much momentum have we got?
We've managed to scoop up 3.
Okay, dokie.
This is an opposed check, in which case I'm going to spend some threat.
I do get to spend some threat. I'm just running through what I've got available to. So, through momentum, I can buy 2 dice that way. And will, I think.
You're blowing all the
It feels
momentum.
like a chuck all the dice.
You want to blow all the momentum on this, okay.
I'm just seeing.
So we're down to no momentum and 6 threat?
I'll buy 2 threat.
No.
You're getting an assistance, which he isn't, so...
That's true. But that means I need to roll a dice.
Yeah, I rolled so 4... yeah, I'll be down to 4.
Hang on. Just drop in things. I'm like... And this one, one's damage. I'm just checking how determination works and whether that's relevant here. Because it... I'm challenged with the very next situation with this. Is that really challenged? No, that's not being challenged at all. No, can't use the determination. I'm just rolling these. That's a 2. That's a good start. What was I going for? Command reason.
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to charm them out of this, am I?
No.
No, that's not relevant.
E.
Figured and checked. But no, I'm trying to go for the big inspiring speech type of persuasion.
Oh!
Oh.
I've just remembered a thing I've got. Let me have a look at it.
What?
Is it assisting command checks, though?
Whenever you attempt a task to persuade someone not to resort to violence.
No, and also you're assisting.
No, and also you're assisting,
Yeah.
not the main person attempting the task. But
No.
yeah, I've got 1
No.
success from that. Did you get a success, Mike?
No.
Bollocks!
Unfortunately, this is what happens when the diplomats are out of action. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, Loxley has had 3 successes. Loxley also, but the 4th was at 20, but Loxley had 3 successes.
I would love like a still in medical gown Talandra to just march onto the bridge
Dagger
right
on.
now.
Unfortunately, they're like, oh, I don't want to give up to Ledger Orc. Said, oh, I give up.
No, I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, is there anything in the rule book? No.
What can I do to convince the man to not do his plan?
Can I chuck numbers at the problem to make it go away? No. Damn it.
Oh, persuade checks in roleplay. You have to go first or last. Yeah, okay, Loxley. I'm very sorry, Lieutenants, but the die is cast. We're leaving the nebula, and this is, as we say, crossing the Rubicon. I urge you not to risk any more lives, because Captain Jovane is not going to have as many compunctions as I will.
I'd urge you to do the same. Not to risk any more lives, because, as you say, Captain Jovane will not have as many compunctions as you do.
If I give up now, it's been for nothing. Goodbye,
Really?
Iskandar. And he hangs up. Just as the swirling mass of the nebula around you dissipates as you burst back into open space, the shuttle ahead of you, as you've kept a steady pace with it, the crackle of the nebula around it and your shields dissipates. And right in front of you is the big, fat, squat shape of the Talarian Republic ship, the Dawnblade. Vance immediately goes, their shields are up and their weapons are charged, Lieutenant. And Luxley's shuttle is heading for them.
Right, and do we have any way that we can get hold of that shuttle or the people on board it?
Tractor beam and then try to bypass their shields. I'm not sure about that. We'd have to open fire on them, probably. We can tractor beam them and try to burst their shields. But I imagine the Talarians ain't gonna like that.
No, they're not gonna like that. Can we do that whilst having our own shields up front?
Yes, we can.
As full as possible.
We could hold them. If we want to transport them, we gotta drop shields. And
Fine, we'll take them.
I don't want to
try and take them into the nebula, and then that at least gives us a bit of time to drop shields, transport them, and then take it.
I don't know what it's going to take to roll to activate the fucking tractor beam, so for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to assume that, like, Vance doesn't, like, just start chewing on his own console.
Make that tractor beam work!
Make the tractor beam work! Yeah, you see on the sensors and on the view screen the little cone of a tractor beam go out. It grabs the shuttle, which rocks for a bit and holds steady. The Iskandar shudders a little bit, but being a bigger, fatter, lovely ship can take it. And there is another blat from Vance's console. He goes, the Dawnblade is hailing us, Lieutenant.
Put them on screen, but start backing us up.
As Iskandar slowly reverses. Any of that, like, the Dawnblade is going to be holding, is going to be following as well.
I'm sure it is, but then we're going to be in a nebula, so what are we going to do?
So I want to perform a tiny bit of retconning, which I can, because
cutscene.
Yep.
So I want you to go back to the last thing Vance said.
The was it they're hailing us? The Talarian Republic ship is hailing us.
On screen.
Yes, and that's where I'm going to give us a little 10-minute break.
Oh.
Cut to commercials. Hi, and welcome back. In the last several seconds of Star Trek Iskandar, Lieutenant Vance reported that the Talarian ship Dawnblade was hailing them, and before Lieutenant Kantos could say a word, the doors to the bridge swooshed open and in stepped Commander Talandra. What state is Commander Talandra in?
So she's currently in a situation where she's a lot better off than anyone in her situation has a right to be. But definitely up the side where she was shot, there's still a lot of like her hair has begun growing back, but it's very, very fine, and there's a clear kind of stripe where the skin is healing, and there's like some dark lines where, you know, something was applied to ensure that it heals properly and straight. But her posture's always really good, and so her head is always naturally very, very straight. So it's hard to tell how much of that is medical necessity and how much of that is natural Vulcan elan.
And after this, she'll just have a cool undercut.
I know. After this, she'll grow her hair back. But so by next episode, it'll all be fine.
Okay, yeah. So this as Talandra gives the order for on screen, the screen shift, and you
Campos immediately gets up out of their chair and goes back to the helm.
And you get the chunky, rather square-featured face of Captain Jovane of Dawnblade. Iskandar.
Captain Jovane, I presume.
I'm captain of the Dawnblade, yes.
We've not been introduced. Lieutenant Commander Talandra, acting captain of the USS Iskandar.
Well, acting captain, if you continue to interfere with the Talarian operation, if you do not release your tractor beam on this shuttle, I will be forced to fire upon you to complete my mission.
Captain, you are quite aware of the Gallan border accords, I understand. You seem to be a border agent of your people, therefore I will assume, perhaps foolishly, that you are not stupid. You are not currently in a Talarian border effort. You are part of a Starfleet search and reconnaissance mission, which means I'm going to have to ask you, for the first and only time, to keep out of our jurisdiction. You are currently attempting to harbour fugitives from Starfleet. Fugitives that have been involved in terrible, violent, and unforgivable crimes. Conspiracy to break the Temporal Prime Directive, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to kidnap, conspiracy to trade with slavers, selling classified Starfleet information, and conspiracies to commit atrocious acts of warfare. I can assure you, Captain, whatever they have promised you, it is not worth it.
Make me a motherfucking command and presence check, please. And have a free momentum.
Thanks. Does that mean an extra dice?
I get an extra dice.
You can have an extra dice.
Okay, let me
Have
just
all the
check.
extra dice.
I think I've ticked a bunch of my focuses on that, like
yeah.
And what do values do again?
Values are a thing you can get. You can get a thing called determination from your values. If your values are being shaken in some way, if something is happening
Can't
that
you reinforce them?
I
think it's some determination if it really fucking matters to your values.
So the notes I've got, which are not necessarily complete.
Whenever a character is attempting a task for which one of their values would be advantageous, they may spend 1 point of determination. A point of determination can provide one of the following benefits, such as a point of determination may be spent to grant the character a single bonus d20, but it is considered to have already rolled a 1.
Yeah, no.
Or you can use it after you've rolled to re-roll all of the dice in your pool. That's basically the only things which are relevant under the situation. So if you have any of your values are just like fuck yeah.
I mean, because one of her values is based around her Vulcan pacifism, which is all life has value, which means I think she's taking the fact that their actions caused collateral deaths very personally.
I will allow it, especially in light of the fact that Talandra has managed to take the super pacifist route throughout this plot, where I was sure I was going to need to run some fucking combat at some point. Like,
she took a bullet to the face to avoid fighting.
Yeah. So just like as
what am I?
This is how much Izzy hates the ship combat rules.
I hate the ship combat rules.
I'm so sorry. What am I rolling in? Control.
Command and presence.
Okay.
You can roll. Yeah, so you can roll. You can roll 3 dice and choose to have one which is already counts as 2 successes, or you can roll 3 dice and get a free re-roll if you spend a determination.
Okay.
Just take the 2 free successes already, probably.
That's what.
Yep, I'm just because I'm working out the focus, and if it's under your discipline, not your attribute, right?
Under the small one.
Okay, in which case, of the three, one of them is a 1 automatically.
Okay.
One of them is an 8, so that's a success, and the other one is a 1.
And also, you got an extra dice to roll anyway because you spent some momentum to get an extra dice to roll.
Shall I roll that now?
Roll that anyway. Why the fuck not?
I just need her to really yell at this guy.
I'm just curious as to how obscenely you can beat him.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Nope, that's a failure, but not a bad failure. Just
even
that's
just 4 successes.
That's simply 4 successes. I'm so sorry, everyone. I've let you all down.
5, yeah.
That's
plus focus.
You rolled 2 ones.
I've got 2 1s.
Oh Jesus! 4 successes
and an 8.
Those are regular.
And 8, which I'm assuming.
And there's a focus, so 6.
No, the focus isn't relevant at this point because it's an actual 1. What a focus does is basically increases the range.
Okay, cool. Yes, that's what they do.
Yeah,
so,
5 successes.
Mike, could you still anyway take 1 threat off, which I spent, and it was not enough. Even though Jermaine rolled really well, he just didn't roll that well.
I can see his face trying to be like, I'm tough. Tough it out.
Well, so did your face.
Yeah, he shift. Commander, the guy in the cords. You say this is a Starfleet search and rescue, but we're still in neutral space.
Quite so. So I am sure that you and I wish to find a peaceful resolution to this before it becomes an international dispute.
He lifts a hand. There's a moment where he's clearly muted and is having a kind of intense conversation with someone off screen.
During which time Talandra will, without looking, express to Vance is ops, isn't he?
Vance is tactical.
Oh, who's ops?
Casey, basically.
In which case,
yeah.
Ensign, progress report on that tractor beam.
What is the progress report on the tractor beam?
They're trying to fight it, but they're being slowly brought in.
It's slow going, Commander. They're doing everything they can to try and resist it.
Maintain.
Yes, Commander.
Gervain looks back. Understand, Commander. We had an agreement to receive officers who sought political asylum. Any injustices, any criminal acts they may have committed on the way were unknown to the Talarian Republic at the time of the agreement, and until you made it just perfectly clear to me at this moment.
Of course, Captain. And given their particular acts against superior officers in Starfleet, I'm sure this will be an easy thing for you to explain to Talia in High Command. You wouldn't want disgraceful officers joining you, would you?
Understand, Commander? This is going to cost the Talarian Republic. I remember debts, Commander.
From where I am sitting, Captain, all this has cost you is a weapon that is more trouble than it's worth, and 3 disloyal soldiers. I am sure the Talarian Republic can do better than that.
Good luck on your search and rescue mission, Iskandar.
Many thanks. Iskandar out. I win the hang-up first.
Vance, good news, Commander. They're lowering shields, depowering their weapons, and turning to go. The shuttle has dropped its engines and bring it into the bay, and I can have it greeted by a contingent of security officers.
No chances this time. Lieutenant Linkovich, beam them straight into the brig.
Yep, okay. And yes, that can indeed be done.
Lieutenant Vance, you will send a team down to strip the shuttle of any potential threats and isolate the stolen weapon. Security clearance 10. Eyes only for you and me.
Yes, Commander. I'll be heading right down there now. Gets up, heads for the turbo lift, giving the tactical to Zal.
Lieutenant Zal, thank you for the information. It was invaluable.
Not a problem, Commander.
Kendall sort of looks over at Zal and kind of, sort of look.
Zal's just calmly going about his business on the comms.
With that look of,
Yeah.
what an ass, we love him so.
The Dawnblade returns, crosses the border into Talarian space, and goes to warp. You have the shuttle brought into the bay, and you're sat in a nice, now quiet part of neutral space.
Talandra is going to get out of the chair and will say, Lieutenant Kantos, return us to Federation space. Warp 6.
My commander.
And then we'll go with wordlessly to the captain's ready room.
Okay. And whoosh!
She swept in, sorted the situation out, and is now sweeping out very quickly.
Go have a lie down.
No, she's got shit to do.
And shit to do. Okay. We'll move into... Well, you'll be heading back, presumably to Starbase 214, the one you started out at?
Depends on how this call goes.
Okay, yeah, you go into your ready room then, fine. I will not jump the things.
As I said in chat, I've got paperwork to catch up.
All right, okay, yeah.
But more importantly than that, that's not exciting. It's very interesting because she doesn't sit at the captain's desk.
Yep.
She has her own office. But for this, she is going straight to the captain's desk because she has to open a very secure channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of thing you can only really do from the captain's desk. But it's to indicate how severe the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll open a, super high security clearance channel using codes that, like, she should it's one of those, only use these in dire circumstances.
Yeah.
And one of them is, so your temporal prime directive breaking weapon is on my ship. I don't want it. But yeah, she'll be getting in touch with some admiral or other.
Yeah. We don't have a V Admiral yet, but I assume we could... Talandra gives a full report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Talandra gives a full report to an Admiral who will, for the moment, just be a face who appears on screen. She is an... I don't know what she is. Well, she's an elderly Tellarite, because that's fun.
Peg lady!
Pig lady. Old pig lady space. Good old pig lady. Admiral Pig Lady.
It's Pige Lardy.
Pige Lardy.
I would assume Talandra explains everything rather than making you regurgitate the plot at the screen again.
Well, it all started. Yes, but she is very calm and is basically like, yeah, so we have this and these war criminals and we know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Advise from this point.
Well, Commander, I'll need to check some of my own records to understand the full nature of Commander Loxley's team and everything that's happened with them. For the moment, I urge you to maintain the security protocols you have around this weapon. Also, to keep Commander Loxley and his team isolated, I'm aware that junior officers have spoken with them. That should not be something that happens again. They are privy to classified information and, as you say, information about this weapon. Only Command Grade and your Chief of Security should, if necessary, speak with them, but they will be detained and debriefed later. You do not need to worry yourselves about the further investigation. Report back to Starbase 214. There will be a security team waiting to take them and the weapon off your hands at that point. I will also be getting in contact with your captain to ensure that this information is properly contained and that you are properly debriefed.
Understood, Admiral.
As to exactly why Commander Loxley did this, looking at his records, he remained a strategic advisor for Admiral Ross until 6 months ago. Consistent notes are here, and this isn't highly classified. This is certainly within your classification and knowledge. Noted for advocating a punitive stance against any of our former enemies. And was put to some minor research job 6 months ago, which is probably when all of this started. Tragic thing when people can't leave the war behind them. Proceed to Starbase 214, Commander, and we will take this team and their weapon off your hands.
Oh, thanks, Admiral.
Starfleet Command out.
Bloop. I let her have that one.
Yeah. I also briefly thought you, instead of our thanks, you went, thanks, Admiral.
Thanks, Iskandar out.
Our thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it didn't occur to me at the time, but she'll also have requested that the USS Antares be
Destroyed.
informed.
Oh, yeah, the Antares. Yeah,
to the best that they can securely be informed that the situation is resolved.
The Antares will probably actually still will have limped its way to Starbase 214 anyway. Still got its crew on board, so yeah, they'll be waiting for you. You can head back to Starbase 214. Do you have anything urgent to do, or I will get us to wrap up and then epilogue stuff?
I think we have a lot of wrap up and a lot of epilogue. I'm here for
A lot of wrap up, a lot of epilogues.
4-hour epilogues.
Fucking A. Yes.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King epilogues.
Unless someone was super urgent, desperate to do other things.
No, Talandra will stay in her ready room
Yeah.
for a while, waiting for this headache to go away.
The Iskandar returns to Starbase 214, which has also present the USS Hood, which is a Nebula-class ship, which appears to have recently appeared, and will in fact be playing host to a team of Starfleet security specialists. They will, in fact, stop the Iskandar before they can dock properly at Starbase 214. The captain will send over all of the appropriate codes for transfer of prisoner and weapon. They actually send a shuttle for it. They do not use the transporters.
Very reasonable.
Device. And in very kind of locking down the sections of the ship, the corridors, clearing it. Certainly for anyone who isn't Talandra or Vance, most of this goes by without anyone really having much idea of, other than things are being taken away. And Talandra and Vance don't have much of a better idea. They're all told as a courtesy, as a security team march down to the brig. Talandra's there if she wishes to be, but otherwise only Vance is there to basically just run the force fields for them, hand over Loxley and the other three, and take them to where the device is. They leave, they return to their shuttle, they go back to the Hood, which after minor courtesies, just immediately goes to warp and fucks right off.
I think it's where they appreciate having a Vulcan there at handover. She doesn't ask questions. She oversees to the best of her captainly ability.
Mm-hmm.
She checks credentials twice, which is irritating, but security can at least go, oh, yeah, she's thorough.
Yeah, the captain of the Hood is very polite and officious and does not seem to react in any way negatively to a Vulcaning at him. The Antares is indeed, this poor little suffering Miranda class has indeed limped back to Starbase 214. The Iskandar can dock and can start to return the missing, abducted, poor bastard officers of the Antares to the Antares. Within a day, a transport arrives, and Captain Athan returns to the ship. The first thing she is going to do, aside from getting on board, passing through the bridge with a politeness, is to, is actually she's going to get Talandra to her ready room. Now I need to remember how to Athan.
Do the lean. I know you're not on the bridge, but we need the lean. Oof, such lean.
Such lean. Gets Talandra back to the ready room. So, Exo, Starfleet Command have updated me on what's happened. I've received a lot of the full report. It had a few holes in it, but I'm assuming those holes are pretty intentional. I'm sorry that this landed on all of you while I was away. How are you?
Dr. Burov informs me that my skull integrity is almost optimal, Captain.
It's not a very reassuring sentence.
I will need to return for several more dermal regrowth cycles, but aside from that, most of the damage is cosmetic now.
Obviously, if I'd been on board, this wouldn't have happened because the Iskandar wouldn't have been doing a minor survey mission near the Antares, but I'm not thrilled that this happened to you all with me gone, but equally that's an illogical emotional reaction for me to have of guilt.
It is quite reasonable for a captain to feel guilt for being absent for a crew's hardships. However, your absence was neither your decision nor your fault, Captain.
No. The conference was enlightening. There are a lot of considerations which need to be given to the role that Cardassia is going to play on the political stage of the Alpha Quadrant in the future. Whilst Loxley was thoroughly misguided if he was prepared to throw away lives and throw a weapon to the Talarians, who last time they fought anyone, it was us. I can understand why he thought the galaxy was so dangerous. I don't know what we're going to be after this war, after the dust is settled. But that's just musing, Commander.
I'm quite keen to hear your thoughts, Captain.
I certainly don't want to keep you from rest, and you've done a stellar job in my absence.
My thanks, Captain.
So's Lieutenant Kantos. I don't think they were, from all reports, they seem to have risen to the occasion very competently.
You will find that I have made recommendations for commendations and extended time off for Lieutenants Kantos, Vance, Lieutenant Strange, Ensign Casey, and particularly Lieutenant Linkovich.
Well, this was supposed to be your time off. You were supposed to have a lovely little cruise, taking a look at a nebula and having some downtime. Now, to be fair, that nebula still does need surveying. And I think doing so and allowing some of the junior officers to have a look at it while people who need a break get a break might be a good idea, don't you think, Commander?
Quite so, Captain. I believe that we can manage on a skeleton crew. I can rejig some more of the duty rosters and merge Gamma Shift with Beta Shift, and I can command the evenings.
I thought maybe you might take a little time off as well, Commander.
I see no reason to, Captain.
It's a skull integrity thing isn't concerning.
My skull integrity is only improving, Captain.
It might improve better with rest.
I understand, I think, what you are getting at, Captain. However, I sleep very adequately on my off shifts. You have not been on the ship for some time. I believe that having that consistency of command is vital.
Well, I'm not going to order you to do anything of the sorts. That's it's down to Burov if the good doctor wishes to enforce any time off for your psychological as well as physical well-being.
She doesn't. She obviously doesn't do a face twitch. She's Vulcan, but she does the like. There's a split-second, 1,000-yard stare of, "Oh, Dr. Burov's going to make me take leave, aren't they?"
That's down to Dr. Burov.
Cut away.
Maybe we can reach some sort of agreement with lighter duties if you're still on board, and more holodeck time, or whatever it takes. We'll let people get some rest. Maybe you and I can get to some good old-fashioned mapping of stars.
I would like that very much, Captain. I have to say I was disappointed we did not get our chance to survey the nebula. It looked fascinating.
It's the sort of work I thought I'd get away from, and yet, right now it sounds rather nice. We'll see to the crew, and then we'll do some quiet science.
Quite so. I'll be in my red room if you need me, Captain.
I know. And scene.
Momentum.
There is momentum. No momentum. So yeah, I don't think Tharn desperately requires scenes with anyone and everyone. Although Kantos is definitely going to get a little commendation for dealing with a shitstorm.
Oh, I should make it very clear that Talandra's reports, where she commends the various people involved in the mission in their various ways, is absolutely like bold-faced facts of like, and then this horrible thing happened, and the lieutenant didn't freak out, and then this terrible thing happened, and the ensign didn't cry, and it's just like, this thing should have broken any normal human, and it didn't, and you know, good for them.
Yeah.
Well done, human. You didn't get emotions all over everything.
And then it's just like worse and worse.
And then it's just like, oh yeah, and I sustained some injuries to face
I got
and
shot in
head.
the head.
Yeah, as poor Kantos stumbled single-handedly, or well, in charge of a fucking conspiracy to breach the Temporal Prime Directive, and didn't join Casey and Strange in the crying corners.
It's okay, Mama arrived and just went, it's okay, I've got this.
Okay.
Thanks, Mama.
If people
Thanks, welcome, Mama.
wish for scenes,
Yes.
who wants to see? Let's start. I will rotate according to my screen right now. Michael.
I need to go and see the quartermaster.
Who needs to go and see the quartermaster?
Casey needs to see the quartermaster.
The quartermaster on 214. Christ, where's my fucking cast list?
Who plays them?
Lieutenant Vorliad, the Bolian materials officer.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I have
that.
Yes.
Well then, Kath, we look forward to see how you perform this vital role.
This vital role. Yeah, you can go down to the materials office on Starbase 214 and find a little officious Bolian shit dealing with a lot of crates and pads. He looks up and goes, "What do you want, Ensign?"
Lieutenant Foliard, is it not?
Yes. What do you want?
Wonderful. I just wanted to talk with you about some discrepancies that were with the previous munitions and equipment that we received.
Mm-hmm.
There were several items that were missing from our itinerary. I was hoping that we could see them rightfully replaced.
Well, right now we've got an awful lot of things which need to go to the Antares, so Iskandar is again going to be kind of dropping off down on the priority. It's what you get out here on the border.
That's perfectly reasonable. I suppose also you would have seen the hood
came and went. Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, it was something of a detail that we had to unexpectedly deal with out there over in the nebula. A lot of it's fairly top secret, and we can't deal with it directly. I wish I could inform you with some of the finer details of what we have been through. Needless to say that we nearly lost our commanding officer to the tribulations out there. The crux of the matter is there are still items on this itinerary that are missing, and I would see them replaced.
Make me a command and reason check.
Can my focus or composure play in this?
That depends, because it really sounds like you want him to take pity on you, which doesn't sound like a composure thing.
That's fair.
It sounds like our mum got shot.
Mum got
Like,
shot.
we had a really hard time and did some serious work, and tried to be chill about it is kind of the opposite of help.
Reason, command. 1 success.
Okay. Poorly added frowns. Does sound a little bit difficult. Out in the nebula, you say?
Yes.
How about we have a coffee and take a look at these materials, and you can tell me all about it. Obviously not classified things.
I suppose so.
It's very boring on this ship station.
Then very well. I will give you something of a pared down version of the story.
Why not?
Talandra is quite okay with you sensationalizing. And then my captain got taken into slavery, and she'd be like, "Go on, that sounds great." And then she got shot in the face. Oh, go on.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
I love people getting shot in the face.
You failed, but you can trade gossip, I've decided, as you started to be like, oh yeah, and this exciting, mysterious thing we did, which I can't tell you about, which that mostly made him go, I want to know what that is. So yeah, you can start to you can trade gossip for kit. In the best of all role-playing economies, frankly.
That is the only thing I had for Casey.
Okay, that's the only thing I have for Casey. I assume Zal is just going to be doing some push-ups somewhere.
Yeah, just bench pressing, usual.
Flexing. But cool.
How many ensigns is Zal bench pressing this time, though?
He's on 5 right now. He wants to move up to bench pressing lieutenants.
Mm-hmm.
Does he say this whilst looking at
That sounded like he was hitting on you, Adina.
that sounds like Cantos is getting hit on here.
Maybe later. Does Cantos or Strange want to do anything? Strange has had a very quiet set of episodes.
Yeah, you gotta.
Strange had a very quiet set of episodes, but yeah, there's not exactly been any engineering-related crises for him to deal with. Although, I'm wondering about tagging on from Mike's scene, since Casey has just gone and traded gossip for kit, and a lot of that kit was engineering kit that was missing.
Yeah, you basically within like a day.
Is this when Casey simply turns up with a load of stuff?
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
Yeah,
that would make the most sense.
So yeah, he'll just come.
So yeah, Strange will be
getting it beamed.
Busying himself with something, anything. He's still drowning his feelings in work because he's a healthy boy like that. Still visibly quite tense, although it's also kind of obvious that he's finally starting to. The shoulders starting to loosen a bit now that really we're out of that scenario and nobody died this time. It's not as bad as last time, so it's not quite so kind of and a bit more.
There's nuance in that whimper.
There's nuance in the whimper. There's still a whimper, but it's downgraded a bit.
And like without ceremony, Casey will just kind of like come wheeling or whatever the equivalent is, turbo lifting. No,
you could probably get a tray, it'll be like a big repulsor lift.
Repulsor lift.
That's a Star Wars type thing, but whatever.
Okay. Just kind of bringing several crates of cargo and equipment into engineering, and just kind of not acknowledge. Yeah, that's how he'd do it. He wouldn't acknowledge Strange initially. He'd just start packing things away.
Strange will kind of put down what he was working on. I guess what that is. Wanders over to where the trolley was, Casey starting to put back and starts looking through what's there. Is this all the stuff that we were missing from the itinerary before?
Everything that was erroneously misplaced, yes.
How did that little job's left handle this?
Lieutenants, I wish I could say I achieved it with a firm hand, but that would not be strictly the truth. However, it was not a matter I wanted to leave to rest. The Iskandar needs these supplies, and this is our ship to maintain. So I wanted to make sure that the conversation continued once we got back, regardless of all the other circumstances.
Thank you, Casey, for doing that. Much appreciated.
It's quite fine, Lieutenants. I just hope that in the future... you will be able to manage difficult officers and be able to get everything that we need. I think the problem with you and I is that when something doesn't go your way, you tend to, if I may speak freely.
No, of course.
If something doesn't go your way, you tend to be a bit more of the type to shut down. And when something doesn't go my way, I tend to be the kind that gets frustrated. And I don't think either of us do a great job at dealing with those feelings. And it's only right that we start to address them. So it's only the advice I can give you, that don't let people walk over you. You're better than that.
Thank you for the advice, I guess. Strange is also not quite blushing at the moment, but slightly reddened at the two bits.
It's been a trying jaunt, and
yes.
Still, I shall... you go.
No, go on.
I was simply saying I should leave you to your operations. I've probably taken enough of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenants. Casey will leave. I want the camera to linger for a second on Strange. I want to know what Strange does once he has the room to himself.
And then just starts unpacking boxes.
I'm gonna steal the.
He doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Without us, it's just kind of.
I'm gonna steal the spotlight back. It's mine now, and I want to follow Casey, kind of moving through the corridors and heading to medbay. And at medbay, he will request the presence of Dr. Burrow with an unmuted microphone.
I'm they. I was just really excited. I was like, medbay, yeah, medbay's cool. I'm medbay.
You're medbay people.
Where get is that from?
Dr. Burrow.
Anson, come in. Do sit. Would you like some tea?
No, thank you. I'd like to report that I'm probably unfit for duty.
Oh. Are you feeling unwell?
Okay.
Not physically, entirely mentally.
You have been signed off for at least 2 weeks of leave. You think it is more serious than just rest?
Yes, I believe so.
Very well. I shall have to make some notes, and I will inform the captain.
Thank you, Doctor.
Would you like to go and have a lie down?
No, thank you. Now that this has been reported, I'd probably like to return to my quarters.
Very well. Go and rest in your quarters, and I will be along shortly for a full medical.
Thank you, Doctor. Then he stands up and leaves.
Okay. Yes, Casey gets himself signed off work for a bit.
So, obviously we're not going to go through the whole thing, but what are the broad strokes reasons that... Is it I was going to blow up a ship?
Yeah, it's he runs through that, and following the events of the cutting edge, he finds it difficult now to sleep without thinking, without disturbed dreams, and a lot of them revolve around fairly in-depth and repeated versions of Talandra being shot in the head, and also previous backgroundy stuff that we've discussed of how he served.
Yeah,
and
that's 2 parent figures that he had to see die.
yes,
From the same family.
yeah. And
okay,
he's so matter-of-factly about it too. Like, he maintains this air of, okay, so now I need to do this because I'm unwell and I need to get better, and it's all very kind of regimented in his approach. Like he's refusing the emotional connection to it. He's just kind of going through the motions of, now I'm doing this because that's the thing I need to do next.
I appear to have broken my arm. I will go to sickbay.
Yes.
My arm is broken. Yes, I can see the bones poking out. Okay, it's noted. Good.
He does not mention anything about Strange.
No, obviously not. It's going on my record.
Meanwhile, in Wine and Gossiping Club.
Well, obviously I cannot gossip about matters pertaining to my Hippocratic oath. But the way he looks when he talks about Adam, it's very interesting. And not medical, so I'm allowed to talk about it.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. So Strange has done things. Kantos has done things. Does Talandra or Burov wish to hunt anyone down?
So the first thing that, like you can see on screen that Talandra's doing, which she and Izzy both don't expect responses from, is she is going through the proper diplomatic channels to make contact with the trader, but is aware that she can't just go, I'm gonna just call the trader, because she doesn't know where they are, and they're different sorts of ships. So it's kind of more Foreign Office. Just let me know when you get that. And it's kind of very just calmly done, like, oh yeah, yeah, cool, sorted. And then she starts kind of tidying her office up, which she's been going through quite a lot, really since Casey got signed off, and since the captain has been kind of like, you should take more breaks. You take more breaks, and she's kind of,
breaks, you got shot.
Shush, you got shot in the head. And she can, and the passage of time can be seen in the fact that her hair is mostly grown back, but it's still quite fine. or quite short, and she sort of touches it, not self-consciously, just kind of like, yeah,
Still there.
still there. It's maybe a couple more millimeters, and I can start cutting it overall. She will double check her console just in case Cardassia went, oh yeah, we have that information at hand like straight away, and it's here. Which she doesn't think is an illogical gesture of refreshing your emails, even though it'll refresh itself. And then she heads out towards Casey's quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not in uniform. She's in she's in Vulcan dress down gear, which to her translates as just kind of like her uniform, except it's grey and the sleeves are a bit big.
Well, to be fair, 24th century fashion is an atrocity. So.
I dig it. Especially Vulcans when they dress like Time Lords.
Better Vulcans than Jake Sisko, so yeah.
Oh my god, Jake
They are
Sisko.
not dressed like a bus seat pattern. So
Just like a cool 90s kid.
you can find Casey. You can find Casey's quarters.
He doesn't hesitate in letting her in. The moment the door chimes, the door will open. He'll be near it. Commander.
Are you physically well, Ensign?
Yes.
Come with me.
He follows dutifully. And you, Commander, are you well?
I believe I am, yes.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it.
Dr. Burrow said that my skull is almost completely healed.
I'm glad to hear that too.
I was offered the opportunity to accelerate the growth of my hair, but it felt frivolous.
Mm-hmm. There's no strict need for it. It doesn't hold to your capacity in any way.
Well, once it is all grown, I will cut it again, and it will be as it was. As if it never happened.
Very good, Commander.
And you?
What of me, Commander?
Forgive me. I believe the expression is something to do with things being unsaid that ought to be said. You have not been well.
No, Commander, I have not.
I understand that I occupy a position of mentorship with you, as my father, Commander Varen, did before his death.
Yes.
I understand, especially for humans, that having such a figure be always occupied by a Vulcan. I do not offer the appropriate emotional support that I ought to. That would be expected from a human mentor.
I have found your emotional support quite adequate, Commander.
I believe that is what is concerning me.
How do you mean?
My father always spoke very highly of you, of your logic and your reason. I got rather good at reading my father's reports. They are all I have of him now, and I find it sometimes very soothing to read through his academic transcripts and his military reports in order to improve my style as a executive officer.
I'm sure he would be quite pleased to hear that.
He and I had a great deal in common, and I was quite distressed at his passing. There was a lot I had yet to learn from him. And I miss him. I miss his presence and his company. And I miss that I have nothing more that I can learn from him, outside of that which I teach myself. But when he died, I was very sad. I did not feel in control of myself. I have been Vulcan my entire life. I am a dedicant to the tenets of peaceful living, the teachings of all that Vulcans should be. Occasionally this clashes with my Starfleet duties, but on that I am willing to compromise. But I am inflexible in the purging of emotion from my daily life, something that my people are paradoxically proud of, and we have worked very hard to achieve for the good of our culture. My father always admired your logic, but I do not believe he ever intended for you to be Vulcan. And I think I owe you an apology. I have spent much time nurturing your incredible talents as a scientist, that I forgot that you were human, and that has hurt you.
I do not think there is need for an apology, Commander.
There would not be if you were Vulcan.
I understand what you are saying, and for the spirit of the apology, I will of course accept, but also in the spirit of what we are here discussing, I must express a growing fear that I don't want anything to change between us.
Change is not intrinsically an evil, Casey.
But you would still be my mentor.
Would you wish me to still be your mentor?
Of course.
I am now attached to my reckoning, 2, potentially 3 traumatic emotional experiences that you have suffered in your life.
Then, forgive me, Commander, if I can offer some slight assurance on that front. Yes, I imagine that my conduct is perhaps occasionally more Vulcan than human. I imagine that there is much to do with me, habits that I've picked up from my formative years in Starfleet. And yes, I'm still relatively young and have a long career ahead of me. That I have no doubt that many of these habits will fade over time. However, to have trauma is part of living, and to shy away from it because it's easier is no acceptable way to deal with trauma. I, of course, think of you, think of all loss and all pain, and that is not a sensation that I enjoy, but I would not shy away from it, lest I would forget why it hurts and why it's worth hurting for.
Then it is my sincere hope that you listen to that very wise advice and apply it to all aspects of your human experience. Your emotions are not an evil, Casey. And I think no less of you, nor any human, nor any member of Starfleet, for perfectly natural emotional outbursts. I do not judge my colleagues in Starfleet by the standards I would judge any Vulcan. And it is important that you do not feel I am holding you to that standard. I have not. My father never did. I believe we're here.
Where are we?
She boops open a holodeck. I understand my father was very fond of climbing, and he used to take you from time to time.
Yes, Commander.
It is a perhaps sentimental hobby that I picked up. I'm not as good at it as he was. But Dr. Burrough says that I must get more fresh air. But I do not wish to leave the ship while there is still work to be done. So I believe this is a very adequate compromise.
The good news on that front, Commander, is that I was never as good at it as he was. So perhaps we find ourselves on equal footing.
In which case we can both pretend that my father would not be judging us for our very poor climbing. And I shall let you pick the difficulty.
That is very kind of you, Commander.
She's already, tying her sleeves up.
A computer difficulty 4, I think, to begin with.
And, she doesn't have much else to say. She's not a chatty mentor. But they go climbing in peace.
They do a climb.
They do a climb.
Very sweet climb.
Oh.
Anything else particular from Izzy?
Just F5, 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 F5.
Alright. Quiet little scene for poor Lieutenant Vance, who, once he's given a couple of weeks off, he will go to his quarters. He'll attempt to put through a call. It won't connect, so he'll open up a recorded message to send. Hey, darling. Had a little bit of time come through, bit of time off from some of the stuff we've just been doing, so there's the good news that I'm gonna come along and see you, see how your work and research doing. Can't lie, it's been some rough stuff. I'll talk about it more, no doubt, when I get there, but there have been Cardassians, there have been my ship's first officer taken into... Well, it's a long story, as if I say she was taken into fake slavery, but by the Cardassians, it sounds worse than it is, but that's a thing that happened. And a lot of people who weren't so good at leaving wars behind. So I figured I could sit around here and drive my security squads a bit harder, or just hang out in the holodeck, or I can, even if I only get to see for about 3 days with travel time there and back, I thought, well, I don't want to slip back into old habits, so I thought I'd come see you. So I'll see you in a few days, darling, and I love you. And this little call to his wife, and he sets off and is gone for the week to a not too far away starbase, where he probably only gets about 48 to 72 hours of actual time with his wife in between travel time.
No, it's perfect, and we ship it, and it's great.
What is this? Somebody on this ship having a healthy relationship?
It makes me actually think, I know we're just doing passing, wordless passes of the ship, but clearly what's definitely going to happen is there's just going to be almost a panning shot of Adina and Arkady in Arkady's quarters, and they're kind of on some big sofa thing, and they're watching some hollow novel or something suitably trashy, and
it's utter trash.
But there's clearly an empty bottle of wine, and it's but they're really cuddly, and like they're because they're really affectionate best friends.
Yeah,
But just clearly, Adina's kind of not upset, but just is getting to that stage of like, oh, I'm real tired and real stressed, and Arkady just very gently just takes the wine out of their hand, like, okay, we're not gonna drink away our feelings. We're gonna we've had half a bottle each. We're gently merry, but you're here.
Leans quite into Arkady's shoulder.
They are the cutest.
Their best friendship just brings me life.
And with Athan back on board, the Iskandar gets a little bit of time to go and actually survey that nebula. Anyone who was on senior staff absolutely has the right to take those few days, either fucking off wherever they want to, like Vance, or with prioritized holodeck time. And it gets run as a neat almost little training cruise for some of the youngest crew. And whilst Athan is a bit like, well, Talandra, you should get time off, but equally, it's good. You and I can whip these kids into shape and all of that. And so, yeah, after the end of a long day of surveying, Talandra can get back to her office. And there is a message waiting for her. It's simple text form. And I'm not going to try to be eloquent enough to get it verbatim, because it would be far more eloquently put than this.
Is it a sonnet?
No. It is a very short and simple message from the Trador, Gull Elrad. Commander, I'm pleased to hear of your recovery if you have been reaching out to me. And I would very much like to hear how the rest of your mission went, insofar as that is something of which you can inform me. But please, feel free to call upon me in the Trador if on any other time you find yourself in our sector. Until then, please find attached something which I thought might be of interest to you. Cardassian literature can be very turgid. However, we are starting to see some of the first efforts at post-war literature appear. As someone with a strong academic interest in all cultures and diplomacy, I was curious as to what you thought this might have to say about the new Cardassian psyche. I'll reserve my own thoughts until I hear back from you, but please find the book attached. I wish you are well. Sincerely, Gull Elrad. You get a book.
Damn, he's smooth. It gets the traditional shot of the raised eyebrow and the She cancels her afternoon appointments.
And I think on that note then, I am going to call to an end, not just this session, but this episode. That is the end of Star Trek Iskandar, The Cutting Edge.
Thank you very much.
So before we get into our delicious talking, as we do, there's all the epilogues and stuff like that. But there is a mid-credit scene, which I know you only get in movies, but like it's a
fuck it.
It's a big series,
get one.
and I don't care. And it's the camera pans up, and it's Strange is wheeling the hover handcart into engineering, having unpacked a bunch of stuff, and he's clearly tired and run down, and as with all Starfleet engineers, he's been given a whole bunch of time off, which he took like an afternoon to go get his haircut and have a nap, and then
he's been finding things to do because he doesn't know how to switch the fuck off.
Yeah, he comes from a long tradition of not being able to switch the fuck off. And he gets a little message through from his second, just saying, priority message has come through for you. I'll send it through to your office. And he settles down, and he is required to enter in his what's it called? His serial number, his service number, and up on screen flashes what looks to be probably very high tech, but it's bound to the tech level of whatever culture has made the series. Lieutenant Adam Strange, formally invited to, and then it's got a whole bunch of number and insignias. The Starfleet Corps of Engineers annual interstellar conference, and it clearly has a very a very long serial number indicating that this is a unique and very prestigious invitation. And he looks suitably impressed, knowing what an honor it is to be just a lieutenant invited to this.
Like, these are the faces that are happening. Like, he does not understand quite why he's been invited to this prestigious event and been invited like this. Yeah, priority message with all these fancy bells and whistles. And like, he's probably submitted papers in the past to try and get into this conference, but has never ever been. Well, obviously I'm going. And that'll be that.
And then the camera, and then it cuts to black, and it's the regular credits again.
Those are the bits which comes after we get our swoopy, like, animated credit sequence, and then it just goes to the boring scrolling.
Exactly.
Yes, and then that's... I wonder what it could possibly be about.
What could this mean?
Lieutenant Adam Strange will return in a Star Trek one-shot that is being run as a kind of Star Trek Iskandar special edition one-off.
Not quite Strange is getting his own spin-off.
Yeah, it's not quite Strange to get his own spin-off, just Izzy is running a one-off spin-off, which is the Starfleet Corps of Engineering conference, which will feature everyone's favorite Lieutenant Adam Strange and two mysterious new other characters, one of which may have been played by will be played by everyone's favorite other trash GM. So that's a bit exciting. But it will be run in the Iskandar universe, and it will be run in this timeline. So it's the thing Strange is doing with his time off before the next Star Trek Iskandar, which we don't know who's going to run it or who's going to what it's going to be. It'll be one of us. I'm very excited.
It won't be me.
It might be me.
So now I want to take the absolute chance to say thank you, Kath.
Thank you, Kath.
You're in chat and you got trash bags. Throw up trash bags for Kath.
Not sure what's going to happen there. Oh no! Thank you very much, guys. You made this more than I'd hoped it would be. I think the only thing that didn't come out was why Lieutenant Novak stayed behind, and like no one asked or read her files. At no point did people's files get read. Aside from the fact that the Talarians are a shitty patriarchal society, she's got a family, so she was like, I'm well up for helping you guys defect, but I'm going to be captured with these slavers and will blatantly get rescued at some point because the Norscan slavers are hella dumb. And
so I'll just make my way back to...
Yeah, so they were counting on the Norsicans being caught up with eventually, but obviously not as quickly as the Iskandar did, because the Iskandar was not expected to be there.
I fully expect the dressing down for the you got yourself kidnapped. You got shot in the head. Yeah. You call my dad?
I considered giving you Elrad's first name, but you got a book instead.
Oh,
Steady on.
First name comes later.
Oh,
I've got to leave you hanging.
I can't stand this slow burn, but I love it.
I know what you want. So yeah, I think other than that, you did it. Just all of the main plot only really came out in the very last episode, and the rest of it was spent dicking around on Anchorage, which was fine.
It was great. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun dicking around on Anchorage.
No, I was enjoying running it.
And I really enjoyed being captain, but I don't want to be captain.
don't want to.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful, isn't it, being in charge in this? Because any other game, it's like, okay, well, people, let's all talk and let's have a chit chat. But one, this as a format is not as easy for that kind of thing, like kind of group chat. And two, it's so easy to be like, well, I'm not the captain, I don't have to make a decision.
You get maybe one or two, hey, let's have an officers meeting about it, but then it's like, it's on you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I really
But
do
at
want to
least
say
I
that.
have lots of icy reasons to be like, shit, this is rough.
I feel a great deal of joy that Talandra was able to pretty much non-violently sort this out. Like,
I feel a great deal of joy that you meant that I didn't have to start looking at the spaceship combat.
Combat.
Because
The one bit of Robert I've not looked at as well, so like even I can't help.
I have seen a chart which describes it, and it's like a flow chart, and it's the fucking worst. This was a fan-made flow chart as well.
can we just all be like, and then we go like, pew 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 pew, pew 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 pew.
I wasn't.
Shields are fading, pew 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 pew. Oh, we win!
When I wrote the main plot, I assumed that over time I would be more comfortable with the system and would then read up and do my homework ahead of time. And then I saw that fucking chart and looked at the system and was like, I don't know. And I didn't really have a plan for what was going to happen if you fucked it and ended up in a fight with the Talarians. I don't
think we had a plan for what happened if we
like, what was I going to do with the system? I was just going to fucking make it up as I went along.
Was the plan, there's a reason Talandra isn't a Starfleet captain, even though she's been in Starfleet for ages, which is she doesn't want to be in charge of killing people.
Yeah, I was banking on like I was prepared statistically and personally for there to be combat on Anchorage. I thought you were going to need to do some violence to rescue the Antares crew.
All the violence was on Talandra. Punch me in the face, shoot me in the head. I'm a pacifist.
No, Gal Elrad, I want you to sell me into slavery.
It was the best conversation that's ever happened in my whole life. And how he's gone through. I just need to take a step back and go through all this. He's gone through all this with Talandra. Their last conversation was him punching her in the face and selling her into slavery, and he's still like, "I'm gonna have a flirt. I'm gonna flirt with that."
What?
I think she's into it. Based on her message to him, which was something like, "Request make contact with Trador Anchorage," and he's gone. Ooh, he said re.
Hey, hey, let's get a buck out
she
there.
bothered getting in touch. He'll take whatever he can get. Apparently.
Gross.
It's so sad because if she were human, it would be like, "Remember me? You punched me in the face."
Instead, no, it's formal. Yeah, but don't worry. Now you've got direct means of contacting the trader.
If me, Emily, or Kath run, no, you're Kath. If me, Emily, and Mike run sessions, would you still jump
I
in?
promise I will at any occasion where it is appropriate and the GM agrees.
It's always appropriate.
The GM agrees.
Appropriate. At inappropriate moments, damn it.
What if I'm the GM?
Any point where it is believable and plot relevant.
Good luck, Emily and Mike, trying to be in the game.
Elrad's to show up.
So everyone tune in next week for the Talandra and Gul Elrad meet by happenstance on this random star.
Space Paris.
In Klingon space. Paris.
Klingon Paris.
Oh, Gul Elrond.
Paris.
Imagine finding you here. It's Space Paris.
Well, like the Parisians are all very rude, so like they're just Klingons. What do you want? Fuck yourself.
Because that's literally what Klingon hello means. What Nook
Yeah. What do you want?
What do you want? That's the direct translation of
I
Klingon
know.
hello.
And
Klingons are so
if that's
good.
not a Parisian hello, I don't know.
That's
what it is.
very true. I say this.
Hello, Parisian gentlemen. What?
What?
Oh, nothing.
What? Yeah.
Well, we got real xenophobic real quickly. So I'm gonna work on wrapping this up.
Yes.
So in the process of wrapping this up, we have obviously thanked Kath for running what was such an engaging and effervescent session. I just have to pause a second because James is talking about our radios are dying in the chat, and you get out of here with that tear jerking nonsense. I'm very aware with our radios are dying, and I cannot listen to a real play of it without bursting into tears. So no.
For the list.
It's a 2-person game where you are playing. It's about 47 minutes or something, and you only have 47 minutes of oxygen left while both of you are floating in the vacuum of space. And you are 2 people who are in love but have fallen out for some reason, and you have a list of things that you have to try and bring up during your last conversation before you both die. And it's beautiful and very sad.
That just sounds like going. I suffer for 40. Jesus Christ!
It's really
I know.
good. But it's very like very Nordic
for a
LARP.
longer period of time, so keeping it to 47 minutes.
And like literally
That's
after
the
47
challenge.
you die. Yeah. It's
About and lesbians dying together.
space lesbians. Yeah. So it's
That's
very
my
sad.
damn Holmes.
So we're not doing that. Instead, we've thanked Kath. Obviously, many thanks to Mike and Emily for being the sad boys who are the saddest and boys. And also the one half of NB Wine Club and Swirl McMuscles. Also, thank you to you, Trash Fam Old and New, for coming to the chat and getting involved in what's going down. Obviously, when the others are GMing Iskandar, we don't do helps and hinders because their poor tiny brains couldn't handle it. But I can probably make an exception for the Starfleet Corps of Engineering one-shot because my brain is massive, but only for screwing over my players. But in the meantime, before I let you all go off to bed or lunch or whatever your time zone appropriate activity demands, let's all throw hearts and trash bags into the chat for our wonderful sponsors on Patreon.
Emily, can I borrow your hand? Like,
Who?
if I
Which
do-
one do you want? You're on.
Yep.
Give us money to support the various costs involved in running a channel and just making it all the sweeter for doing the nonsense that we do. So thanks in no particular order to Amy C, Angela Eddington Molyneux, Araloki, Bun Bun of Bun Bun Gaming, Caffeine Kitty, Christopher Gallen, Henry Prestige, Hobbs 138, James Malloy of Protein City Comics, Louise Sutcliffe, Michael Bowman, Mike Fielding, Mike Kilburn. Did you know, by the way, that Mike is short for Mycicle? I did. Red Fox, Socky, and of course, everybody's favourite named Patreon follower of the Trash Crew, Helena Handbasket. So lots of love to you lovely, phenomenal people. We appreciate it a tremendous amount. And now that the new year has kicked back in and we finally come back from our long trash hiatus, the Patreon, the Twitch, and the Twitter will all be updated fairly regularly. There will be some sort of game running next week. I don't know what it is yet, because I've been very sad, and so I haven't been GMing much. But now I've gotten back on the trash horse. It's like a piñata made of garbage.
Trash wagon.
And if you, the trash. I ride around on a garbage truck. And this metaphor's gotten out of hand, but now I'm back on the garbage truck.
Trash horse.
The trash horse.
Trash horse. Trash horse.
Dang. That makes depression sound so much more fun. So now that I'm back on the trash horse is not depression. Being off it is terrible, though. I'm going to obviously get back to the list that was promised, which includes the Avatar one-shot, the Nishikawa High School Mystery Club movie, and a secret new campaign that is starting soon, and isn't really a secret, but is kind of a secret, which is good enough. And between now and the next Star Trek Iskandar will, of course, be Starfleet Corps of Engineers. Nothing bad will happen. It's a conference. What are you talking about? Duh.
I know. I've been to engineering conferences in the real world.
Would you be hoping that they turn out like what I'm going to do?
Yeah, actually, like, I have no idea what you've got planned.
Nothing.
Next time I go to an engineering conference, I am going to be severely disappointed that it's not like whatever the fuck is about to happen. So
You'll get a free pen.
That's actually better than ones I've been to. I didn't get a free pen at my last one.
Well, I'll make sure that you will get free pens. Free pens for everyone. But only if you show up. Yeah, that's right. I can promise free pens to everyone who shows up to the stream. I'm not going to do that, by the way. But anyway, before this stream gets wildly, wildly out of hand, that's a lot of love from me and Kath and Mike and Emily. You've been wonderful, and we've been the crew of.
Yet, though.
Yes.
We have thanks have been given to
yes,
Kath,
that's true.
to Mike, to me, but not yet to Izzy. So before we finally sign off, let us thank Izzy for being best Vulcan mum being shot in the head, best non-binary doctor and drinking buddy, and for being trash.
I'm trash.
We love you.
I love you guys. And we will talk soon for Star and Trek and Star Trek.
Bye. I forgot how to stop streams.